Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, summoners of all ages, welcome back and welcome to the Game Arena Spring Summoners Series semifinals and finals bracket. I am Baskin and Ives. I am joined by Kamaka, also known as Kyle, and we have a set of best of threes coming your way that are going to be guaranteed absolute bangers. Kyle, how are you doing? Are you refreshed on caffeine and are you ready to go?
Absolutely. Whenever it's a long day of League of Legends, I always got to put on another cup of coffee just to make sure I can keep nice and hype all the way through into the end. But I mean, hey, the games are nice and keeping me hyped themselves as well. We've had some pretty good ones today. One of which we're about to see a repeat of, which was UC Pink versus Hotdog, one of the best matches we've seen so far today. And in fact, we've casted UC Pink a couple of different times across multiple Summoner series, and this is the first team I've ever seen them lose to. So it's definitely going to be a good one to run back.
Yep, that UC Pink team has always been a major threat at any of these events around here. And Hot Dog, another team of a lot of local legends and local people around the Columbus and Ohio area, looking to face on off here in our first best of three, the 2 versus 3 seed, and we are coming right into draft in this best of three, immediately coming in with that Jinx, Vex, and Ornn ban. UC Pink definitely wanted to take away that Ornn that was just such a stone wall in some of the other games that Hot Dog was playing.
Yeah, and they used it very effectively against them as well. So 0% shocked to be seeing that Orin taken out of the equation, especially because, like, dude, Orin Camille is not one that you typically expect Orin to just completely hard win, and Orin beat that Camille like 3-0 solo
Oh
bolo. It
yeah.
was impressive, dude.
Oh yeah. Ornn definitely beat Camille like a drum. The Nunu, Nefiri, and Talia bands getting on out. They're getting rid of the Hot Dog. They don't want the Hot Dog skin. So getting rid of the Nefiri, but also getting rid of Fish Are Friends. Nunu, he is fantastic on that champion. But they might have gotten rid of the Nunu, but they certainly did not get rid of the Applause Lulu. So that's coming on in here as a strong first pick, aggressive with a lot of good scaling to it.
I mean, hey, if they want to stick with the dog theme though, they could always lock in Warwick. He's still up, but I
That is
doubt it.
true. Warwick and the Doge.
In the Doge, yeah. Oh yeah, and Nasus too. That's right. So yeah, we're gonna be seeing support for support. Karma, not too shocking. They might decide to go with Caitlyn along with this. Not too shabby of a champ overall. I think that'd be a pretty good combo to see here. But I mean, hey, we could also be seeing something else. But I feel like they're probably gonna lock in their ADC here with their support.
Yeah, most likely you're either going with the support and ADC or the support and jungler here on this first rotation. Karma Varus going to likely be a very strong poke lane. Varus has a lot of that utility in terms of being able, or at least versatility, with being able to go with either that lethality on hit. You got a whole bunch of options. It's also a really big takeaway from Ursa on the side of Hot Dog. He's got a lot of good champions, but one of the ones he uses most commonly in comp play is that Varus. So a good
Really,
takeaway from UC Pink to use.
that's some good insider knowledge you got there, Basket. I'm definitely gonna. That's definitely good to know. But I mean, Hot Dog, they're going to be going with the tried and true Tristana. We've been seeing her throughout the vast majority of the games tonight. Her and her solid build that involves what's it called? Yuntai Walder has been really successful on her.
It's been a strong thing. And coming back to that Maokai that Fish Are Friends used in some of the other parts of the bracket. Now, that Tristana could be for the bottom lane, but however, they do have the option to be able to flex that to mid if they feel like it's an opportune moment. The Wukong coming on in for the side of UC Pink, likely going to K-Man. However, that again could be flexed to either the mid or top lane, but most likely coming in as a nice, good fighting jungler for mid lane scrapping.
Yeah, I think that it would be a good thing to have for the jungle. I feel like Wukong does a pretty good job solo on an individual basis up against Maokai. So just if they ever get into like a solo battle, which is very possible, Wukong would be able to bully him out. So
Yep.
let's see what's going on here. Silas ban, not too shocked that this is exactly what UC Pink did the last time. They might even go with a Hui ban here as well if they're going to look to stick with their bans from the last time, just because they really apparently love to target Hot Dog's mid laner.
Yep, they got rid of the Camille though, and they also got rid of the Azir. So a couple champions banned away. The Gwen is the final ban, so not wanting there to be a good amount of hyperscaling in the top lane, especially as you get later in that game. Those Karma shields with a hyper carry in the mid or top lane, that can be rather devastating. Right now, we're going to see what UC Pink wants to do. If they want to commit to kind of this poke comp with the single form of engage, mainly being the Wukong followed up with the Varus ult, or if they want to go with something else, they're going to come in likely with this utility pick of the Shen, though. So giving some extra engage and that extra clone into Cyclone into Stand United inside of UC Pink.
This is the first time I've seen Shen be picked in one of these in a long time, and I'm all here for it, dude. He's pretty safe in the top lane unless you're going up against someone like really nasty, like say Darius. But I don't think Hotdog are liable to lock in the Darius unless they just are really feeling themselves today. But yeah, it looks like they're gonna go for an ASOL mid, very high scaling pick, and for the top lane. I don't know. What do you think would go good against the Shen?
Ooh, so against the Shen, my top lane matchups are not really my forte as a resident marksman down here. But if I had to guess, the ways that you can kind of play to be able to kind of mess up with the Shen is you could go with things like the Ambessa or Cassante. You could go with something more like a Garen. I also see a world where
Garen is
things
good, yeah.
potentially like
No
an Urgot
shot.
could work, but they're going with the
Hold up.
Swain. So that's going to be a fun pick that actually can be pretty beneficial because Swain has that
Indeed.
durability factor kind of built into him and can just always use the Death's Hand regardless of the Shen's like AoE attack blocker. Like that could always. I can definitely see a world, but they're definitely heavy on the magic damage with their only source of AD being Tristana from Urson. So it's going to be protect the Urson and also protect the ASOL. This Aurelion Soul needs to be able to scale on up, and you have Wombo combo if we've ever seen it. The El Clasico, Wukong, Shen, Oriana. You got the monkey with the submarine with the ninja over top. So you're going to want to be careful about it, but what are your kind of thoughts going comp to comp right now? Where are we thinking each of these teams stands? You've been watching their
Now,
games so far this series.
Basket, do you know who my main is? Probably not, right? You know who
I
my
have
main is?
no idea. Enlighten me,
It
please.
is Swain. So the fact that they locked him in is it's very refreshing to me. And I'm curious to see how well this guy plays him in the top lane. I've played Swain in the top lane a few times, and it is against people like Shen. You don't really want to be going up against like hyper damagey guys like say Darius, but up against someone like say Shen, who's a little bit more of a tank, you can really get away with some things. There are some builds like if he really wants to go like hyper bruisery, like Manaless, he could do that. Or if he wants to be a little bit more tanky, there are some tank Swain builds that go really damagey as well. And so yeah, I really like this. I really like this a lot. I like how they're cooking. But moving past the top lane, just looking at their comps overall, I really do like the Wombo combo that you brought up. There's a lot of follow up engage from pretty much every single person on this team, including the ADC. So UC Pink, they have some seriously disgusting lockdown potential with damage on top of it. On the other side, they do have some really good disengage, like Maokai can be used for disengage. Lulu, a soul can be used for disengage. As soon as Swain gets engaged on, he ults, and the more people that engage on him, he heals even more and does even more damage. So I think that it goes right along with the rest of the comp. And so, while I think UC Pink have a really good comp to engage with, I think that Hotdog have a really good one to do the opposite. Let me know what your thoughts are, though.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. The name of the game for UC Pink is going to be you're going to want to try to get some poke with the Varus, Karma, and Oriana, and then otherwise it's the hard engage with a clone flash or from a bush from the side with the Wukong Oriana Shen combo. On the other side, though, you have Hot Dog with the disengage from the Maokai, the Buster shot disengage for Urson to use, ideally probably against the Wukong to prevent that ult coming on in. Asol's AoE and kind of his disengage, and even just the saplings. The saplings from Maokai will be very critical. So I think the name of this game is mainly going to be a objective and vision control kind of thing. Both these comps scale very, very well. I will say that the burst damage on the side of UC Pink is much higher than the burst damage on the side of Hot Dog. However, Hot Dog overall is much better when it comes to being able to just pick off one target. And if they get to the point of scaling with Asol and Swain and Tristana's range, unless you get a great flash engage, you are not killing Urson anytime soon.
Yeah, that's another good thing to point out as well, is that UC Pink, their comp, I would say, is very ult reliant. Whereas Hotdog's team, if they miss their ult, they still got a lot of good damage. Like from the Asol, his main damage source is like his Q. So even if Asol misses his ult, he can still provide like a seriously large amount of damage. Swain is got a lot of damage over time and stuff like that as well. So if these guys are able to outlast their ults, or like say one of them goes a little bit badly for UC Pink, Hotdog still I feel like their DPS, assuming that they don't get set like massively behind, I feel like they, in a lot more sustained fights, will do better.
Mm-hmm. And I'm really interested to see what build path Varus ends up going, because you have, again, a lot of these other options for some definitely more durable builds with Varus. So it'll be interesting to see how he adapts, since there is mainly basically 4 AP plus Tristana. And I think that's going to slightly be dependent on how the laning phase goes. If they get ahead early, then they can definitely have an opportunity to just go much more damage heavy. However, if they're set behind, he can fall back on a bit more of that utility and durability build.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we can sort of, I guess, just see how it plays out when they actually get to go. Now we can theory craft all we want, but it really does come down, and a lot of times, to like how you can actually execute your comp. And we'll see how well these teams can execute their respective comps right after this break, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, everybody, we are back on to Summoner's Rift. Hotdog versus UC Pink, game 1 of this semifinals, and they are blazing out of the Rift. I'm Basket Knives, joined by Kamaka, also known as Kyle, and we are here for game 1, already getting a little bit of some Dragonfire going.
Yep. Like we said earlier, this is going to be a rematch between two teams that have quite a lot of experience with each other and have already played once today already. In that game, Hotdog won, I would say, by not a whole lot. It was a pretty close game, but we'll see. Oh, very close.
Oh, man, Scoon is in trouble. He might already be giving up some first blood, and down he goes. The taunt was not enough. The ego was too much. And first blood goes over to Hamlet in the mid lane.
That is so much pain for the Asol right there. Died at a time where I think he'll probably miss a minion. It's possible he'll miss a minion. No, actually, he should be able to get back in time. I take it back completely. But
yep, with the home guards, he should be just fine to get it out there. But a devastating blow to start the game. However, does give the opportunity for Fish Are Friends to be able to get that counter jungling going on the red side Raptors.
Yep, and I'm curious to see what goes on in the top lane. Something you probably thought I would never say, but one is because Swain is up here and I play Swain, but also because this is something that you don't normally see. Swain is actually going to be going for like a little bit more of a bruiser build here, it looks like, with the Conqueror. And Shen should have a really, really bad time. Swain being a ranged matchup should be able to easily force Shen away from all these minions.
Yep, and we might even look at an early game gank from Fish Are Friends up in the top lane, successfully getting that counter jungling for all 3 camps done. We also have Duke with the Varus playing the on-hit build. You can tell that with the lethal tempo, and a little bit of trading back and forth here between Hamlet and Scoon, as well as a little bit more trades in the top lane. See if anything is coming from it. It looks like, nope, Fish Are Friends is just going back on down, and K-Man is going to come and find that his jungle is empty, completely and utterly empty. The monkey's got nothing to do in his own jungle.
I can feel the rage building up inside of him, dude. It's there's no worse feeling as a jungler than coming into your topside jungle after you just cleared your bottom and realizing, oh, it's all gone. And so it looks like he's going to try and make his way towards the bottom side of his opponents, thinking that he's probably not there. He's going to try and go towards a little bit more towards the bottom side of it. Oh, he might actually try and go for a little bit of a steal and kill onto him. If Orianna can get some prio, that might be exactly what they try to do.
Yeah, he might be able to. However, Fish Are Friends did avoid getting his Gromp. We got a fight, though, in the top lane. We got Shen versus Swain. It looks like Shen came out on top at the start of that. K-Man is getting routed out of the jungle. Did get the big grub, but did not get the small grubs. We'll see if he tries to loop back around. However, that ward is spotted on out. And we do have potential that inside track from Scoon could come on in if needed. Teleport's coming back in from both top laners. We're going to see if K-Man is looking for it.
He is going for it 100%.
He's going to try and beat up Smite. Friends. Fish does not have Smite. There is no Smite. K-Man's is about to come up as well. You've got the supports coming back on in. We're going to see who can get it. And K-Man does get the Smite away a little bit outside the range of Fish, our friend. So does walk away, getting an even, almost evening out where things are at. However, still down about half the camp right now.
Yeah, I love the fact that K-Man, he didn't take this lying down. He had to like go back and assert dominance a little bit. I feel like it was a little bit more of like a it wasn't just about the CS. It was personal.
Oh yeah, it's about the principle of it. You don't counter jungle somebody and get away with it. Ursan going on in though, did get the successful rebuffer, forcing out the flash and the heal, flashing on his own. However, the Karma shields might be enough. Ursan goes down. Duke has taken him down. A lot of summoners burned. 3 summoners on the side of Hotdog, 2 on the side of UC Pink. And unfortunately, the Karma baited him on in, and Karma came and got him.
Oh my god. I mean, I respect Ursan for the attempt, but yeah, Karma's definitely someone with some severe outplay potential. And Swain gonna try and just kite this one on out.
Yep, did get the taunt miss, so was able to get a little bit extra damage traded back on out.
Yeah, really unfortunate that he didn't get that pull. It explodes on the wave, and I think Shen was just barely too far away from it, or like at some weird angle. I feel like it should have hit though, unfortunately. Swain might be in a bit of trouble here.
Taunt this time around. However, the Vision of the Empire and the Death's Hand do hit, so Swain is stacking up those critical ones. And we got Maokai potentially coming on up looking for a gank. We'll see if Shen tries to step himself on forward. Does not have taunt for another 3 seconds. We'll see if they try to use this to their advantage. The taunt did come on in, forcing the flash out. Both
he's got it though.
Flash, he's got it. Trade for flashes, however, that's still advantage though for Yushiki.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just a little bit of insight on Swain's build. He is going to be building Thimblewinter, which the reason why you would be doing that as Swain is every single time you land an E, it gives you a little shield, like a little 200 health shield. And if you keep on hitting your E, like if you get something like a Rylai's shortly after that, make it a lot easier to hit your abilities, you can just be consistently getting shields, and it's a really difficult thing to deal with.
Fish, our friends, forced to flash on out, but dodges Hamlet's ultimate. We do have ourselves going into that. However, that's going to result in UC Pink being able to get that first set of grubs and likely not too much of a response from the side of Hotdog. They don't really have any agency to go for this dragon, and that mountain dragon notoriously difficult to kill early on in the game.
Yeah, it's one of the unfortunate side effects of their comp. While they do have one that scales pretty well, they don't have one that can really hold a candle to the roaming potential of Orianna and Varus. It's always going to be UC Pink that's going to be having prio at this stage going for the dragons. Whether it's Varus and Karma going for it, or it's Orianna out pushing Aurelion Soul, it's just going to be a really tough early game for them in that.
Yep. Immediately flash on out from Applause to dodge the corruption. However, the Duke does take down Ursan once again. 2-0 on the Varus. Pushing him out pretty well and making the very difficult laning phase here for the side of Hotdog. And just barely
get a health check.
Our friends walk away. That is a 10 HP tree. He is sundered, he is shattered, but he is not dead yet. We got Swain coming on in, hitting it up with the ultimate damage. We'll see if he can burn down this Shen. Does land the Death's Hand again, bursts through the ultimate, getting him low. Remember, Shen does not have teleport for about another 60 seconds, so he can zone him off and make this a very difficult back. He's still not giving up on him yet. However, the taunt does get him just enough away, completely out of energy, but in comes K-Man. We will see if the monkey wants to do some business here. Alchemy is out of mana, and here comes the Cyclone. Such a low damage on the Swain, and the second Cyclone plus the bonk. And K-Man gets himself his first kill of the game. And Alakami does end up going down here.
Yeah, just super unfortunate timing for him. The fact that the enemy jungler was up there, but yeah, just looking at things overall, the next major objective that's going to be up is going to be the dragon, and it's looking like, Acel is starting to get in a position where he might be able to start going for a little bit of a roam to give some assistance. He's starting to get to that stack potential. Can I get a count on Acel's stacks real quick, by the way? Oh, he's going.
In comes the ultimate. The stars have fallen down. However, the skies are not descending just yet. Does get some burst damage down, but yeah, right now it's definitely advantage to the side of UC Pink. Their composition is much better early on with some of the ability to scrap and duel, and you're kind of waiting for a little bit of this Tristana, Acel, and Swain scaling to be able to really get themselves online. So they might be wise to concede some objectives, but it's more about how much can you succeed, how much can you give up without giving up the game.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to be a little bit of question in my mind here now as well. It doesn't really seem like they're going to be able to do too much for the dragon, like we had already said. But yeah, I'm starting to think of like what Maokai can like do here. It's looking like he might actually try to go for a little bit of a gank down here. Does have ult up, but Tristana is very low health, and it would be an incredible risk to try and do.
Yeah, you'd have a couple risks with Wukong being down the bottom, as well as the Stand United still being available from the Shen to make it a very uneven fight very quickly.
Yeah, I feel like he's probably just trying to not only clear his camps, but play a little bit of defense for the rest of his team. And Swain getting a little bit run down, does take a little bit of a turret shot. His ult is up, so if he does land, he might feel like it. Nah, he's maybe like 2 more Q trades, and he might try and run him down with ult.
Yeah, just trying to get as much poke damage as possible, so that way also in the event that a scrap does occur and Shen does use his ultimate, he won't be coming in as much HP as he normally would. Likely the dragon going over the side of UC Pink here for dragon number 1 and just trying to wait on out some of this damage, the consistent poke damage coming off of the Karma and the Varus, making it so difficult for the side of Hotdog to really make any plays. Fish, our friend, spotted on out by some wards. Heal used by Applause just to help keep Ursan alive as Duke utilized the Varus ultimate to get him a little bit lower. We got a dragon being hunted down by a mechanical doll and a monkey. It looks like he should be able to get away, and the hunt is going to stop.
Yep, and Swain should know that it's probably good to try and back down here a little bit. He knows that Wukong is a little bit up there, but there's not really much he can do in order to contest him for this, with Maokai being on the bottom side of the map, unfortunately for him. But oh, look at the bot side. It looks like they might be trying to go for a 4-man play down towards bot to try and get something back for this topside play.
Yep, they're going to try, see if they can. All summoners are available. We got Flash from Varus, Flash from Karma. Here comes the skies. Here come the power, and there go the lives. Fish, our friends, coming on the board. You've got so many things that were used. All 4 summoners from the side of UC Pink. Stand United used from Shen. However, you do have the feats of strength going over to the side of UC Pink. K-Man trying to snuff on out to see if Calamity is still there, but he has backed away properly. Did hit him with the Phlox, the Vision of the Empire, to stop that back. Hits him again with the hands. He's coming back on in, trying to get a little bit more poke off. Some good stuff from the side of the Swain. However, we'll see if it'll be enough. They might just be looking to overload this top lane and dive it. However, you do have Scoon and Fish, our friends, coming on up. Does he have any friends? A great flash from the side of Alakmi, and coming on in, the Shen goes down. Fish, our friends, coming in with a 2nd kill. Scoon is looking to hunt down the monkey. However, thinks wiser of it.
What an immaculate bait from Calamity. I was starting to get to a point where I'm thinking, ooh, he might have overstayed there just a little bit, but if you look on the minimap, his teammates are telling him to do that, and they just walk up and manage to get the better of the Shen. I would have thought that... Go ahead.
And this is what they need to... That Hotdog does have as a team is over time, any one of these sides, you just send mid and jungle to either top side or bottom side to pick that fight. You can overload it faster than teleports can come on in, or someone looking for getting a little bit of damage, however, does manage to walk himself away. We got ourselves a dragon coming up here in 2 minutes. We'll see if anybody wants to start fighting around it.
Yep, we will see indeed. We're starting to get to the point where Swain is. So, I know I keep talking about the Swain, but it is really one of their major team fight capabilities that they're going to be having in the short term here. Asol is slowly but surely starting to get some items, but he's still going to need a little bit of help, especially when he's getting, you know, a little bit bullied in the mid lane, now having to go towards the bot lane.
Yep, and you see all the vision, all the red side vision scattered throughout the bottom of the blue side jungle, making it very difficult for people on the side of Hotdog to be able to really get a lot of stuff done around these side lanes. We got Fisher Friends utilizing the ultimate coming on in. K-Man comes in with the Cyclone, looking for a bit of his own. The blue ultimate is used. Here comes the chains of corruption, and down he goes. The skies, however, have descended, forcing the flash out of K-Man, walking on away, and likely that being the end of the fight. You see Pink walks ahead with that extra kill.
Yep, ooh, trying to go back in for Urasan though, and Duke's trying to do a little bit of damage to this guy on the side here as well.
Yep, Shockwave coming on in, doing a good chunk of damage, however, not too much just yet. Buster shot used. Hamlet is low. Hamlet is down. Dragon burns down the mechanical doll. Who would have thought? Walking away, managing to come out even on the extended trade for the side of Hotdog.
Yeah, last time we looked at Asol, he only had like 30 stacks. Now he's got like 126, which is definitely helping his damage a lot more, as well as the size of his ult. And so, yeah, definitely starting to hit his stride. The infinite scaling of Asol is definitely going to be something that that UC Pink's going to have to contend with if this game goes on too long. But yeah, it's next thing coming up right now is going to be Drag. Currently, better positioning, better vision is going to be in the hands of UC Pink. But Fisher Friends is going to get an idea that his opponents are already here, and there is definitely some opportunity for some roaming. But Al Calamity in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, Calamity in a little bit of trouble, but just trying to prevent the Swain, the back from the Shen. Something else to keep in mind, though, is right now you still have Chains of Corruption and Cyclone on cooldown for the side of UC Pink. And it looks like they might just be trying to delay the Dragon, keep them interested and occupied. Vision, and we do have enemies inbound. Hamlet is coming on in. They're going to see if they can maybe get them off of it. They might be looking to overload, though, onto Duke. Duke does still have all of his summers available. We'll see if the fight breaks out here. Swain's teleporting on in. We'll see if there is some fight. We'll see if there's some chaos. It looks like they might be giving the Rift and saying, you know what, we can just grab this Ocean Dragon. And that will be an Ocean Dragon taken on the side of Hotdog. Looking potentially to go on to Shen and a Karma. Urson getting a good jump on out. However, Wukong coming in and Buster Shot does stop him, as well as the Polymorph. Shen flashes on forward, flashes on in. Here come the grasping roots. We got ourselves a team fight. We've got ourselves Hamlet going on in. K-Man going down, as well as Yusuke, and Skoon is also going on down. Right now the trade is advantaged towards the side of Hotdog. However, what else can they get? The jungle and the top lane are down. Untouched, full HP, all summoners available. Likely the Rift Herald going over to the side of Hotdog. A 2 objective swing here in the past 2 minutes from the side of Hotdog.
Yeah, I think one of the major things there was the fact that Varus, who has pretty much most of their money, was busy fighting Asol for the most of that fight, and the rest of them were just...
Oh, and Karma is caught on out. Polymorph, Goomba stunt, and Urson is on the board.
Yeah, Hotdog definitely capitalizing on some, I don't want to say some sloppiness, but it's kind of what it is from UC Pink in terms of their positioning, from the karma there, and also from just how they took that last team fight. Hotdog, if you noticed, a lot of their damage dealers were very grouped up together, always fighting at the same time, whereas unfortunately Wukong got caught a little bit away from the rest of his teammates, where his teammates could not help him. And then Varus, much the same, where the rest of his teammates who really needed his damage were getting a little bit bullied by Tristana and the rest of the team. So it was just very good job from Hotdog to split them up like that.
Yeah, some good overall macro these last 3 or 4 minutes, and that's resulted in closing that gold gap from about 3K down to being just about 1,000 down here. We do have Scoon in the bottom lane just farming up those ASOL stacks. Still keeping most of the levels pretty well intact. Right now, Urson being the lowest level in terms of the carries between things, as well as Yuski on the Shen. However, the Shen's definitely going to have more of that utility available. And we're going to see if they try to go for another fight. You do have Karma and Wukong coming into that top lane, likely looking to contest this Swain and overload that side, at least overload it with vision. We'll see if anything else comes of this. That blue buff going to be taken away by the side of UC, getting some revenge, counter jungling done. They might still look to try to overload this top side. However, Otacon is spawning. I'm not sure if they're going to want to immediately go for this or just continue to farm things on up.
Yeah, I don't know. Going for Otacon at this point is risky for me because, one, you got Swain here, who can very easily turn around if you're... For those that don't know in the audience exactly what Otacon does, I don't blame you. He's not he's still kind of a little bit new in the grand scheme of things. He shreds your resistances. So even someone like Wukong, if you're sitting in that for a long period of time, Swain, and I've done this, Swain can literally just walk in there and crush all of you. It's something that he's very capable of doing, especially if you've been fighting Otacon for a really long time. And so what they really want to avoid is flipping it just because they've got their resistances shredded and their opponents are pretty close to them. So
yeah, we got a trap being set. However, the Chains of Corruption do miss by Duke. Calamity sensing the impending Calamity and dodging appropriately. However, now they have started on up on the Otacon. However, they are just going on off of it, trying to have it be a farce instead. 3 being backed, and now you do see the gold lead has extended still a little bit for the side of UC Pink. However, the scaling is starting to get into a little bit of factor. Rift Herald has spawned mid to see if they can get a little damage coming on in here. See if they can get this tower finally down. Utilize the explosive charge. See if they can blow it on up. A little bit of damage coming on in. However, they should be able to get first tower down. Flash from Applause to dodge Hamlet's shockwave. And they do end up getting that trade, critically opening up that mid lane with just 30 seconds on that Hextech Dragon. We do have a Hextech map here, which means more gates, more movements, and a heck of a lot more damage.
Yep, and it's a fight for vision right now. Karma trying to put down as many wards as she can here, but Fisher Friends, unfortunately for her, are going to be ready for them every single time. Control ward is going to be put down in the pit, so vision control overall is going to be in the hands of UC Pink. Hotdog are going to have to walk in blindly, but I mean, they might be able to find one.
Caught on out, immediately blown up. She was out of wards. She is potentially out of life. Flash coming on out. Flash heal. Shen ultimate use. The skies have descended, and so have some of the hopes of UC Pink. We got ourselves blowing on up here. We got 3 down on the side of UC Pink to 0 down the side of Hotdog. In comes Scoon. He's not done. Down goes the Duke. No amount of barriers will save you from that. 4 down. You got Urson pushing mid lane, and you've got the rest of Hotdog claiming their prize of the Hextech Dragon. What a great fight from the side of Hotdog.
Yeah, everyone doing exactly what they needed to. Great ult, great pick from the Maokai, and Swain as well. I don't know if everyone saw this, but Swain was just standing very firmly between Shen and everyone else on the team. Everyone on UC Pink was hitting Swain, but he just was not dying, while everyone else just had a free and clear opportunity to take down the Karma and the Shen. And once the front line was gone, the damage was free and easy to be done to the rest of the UC Pink players. And so,
and that major amount of gold lead that UC Pink had is completely evaporated and flipped to now nearly a 1,500, 1,600 gold lead on the side of Hotdog. And look at the items. You got 2 items for Swain, 2 items for Maokai, 2 items for Aesol, 2 items for Tristana, and on the other side, the only one sitting on 2 items right now is Hamlet's Orianna and Duke's Varus. You got such a big advantage right now swinging in the way of itemization and team fight capabilities for Hotdog, and now we need to see if UC can stabilize, slow down their game plan a little bit, and make it happen. You've got Lulu getting bushed on down. Immediately, the Chains of Corruption have completely nuked her. That is a much-needed pick for the side of UC Pink. However, UC might getting a little low. Fish are friends. He's coming on in. No amount of the taunt's going to save you. He's getting burst on down for lasting a really long time. Nature's Grasp coming on in, taking him on down. Teleport coming in from Orianna. Scoon is making his way on out. However, here comes the cavalry. You got yourself Monkey coming on in. K-Man gets the Cyclone, gets the Flash, gets the second shot. However, we're not done. Al Calamity creating some calamity, trying to finish things off.
Oh, he's got
Urson
this.
Does get the kill on Duke. However, the trade back immediately comes in from Duke. Shockwave coming in to try to slow down Al Calamity. You got K-Man coming from behind. However, he's got no more ult. How long can this Karma stay alive? How many shields? How many heals? It seems like there might be enough. There indeed is, even with the help from Otacon. So many shields coming on in. Applause is back on up. However, can they fight this fight? You've got Yushki coming up in 2 seconds. He's now alive. He has the teleport. See if it's necessary for him to come on in. They're looking to try to pick this fight. Otacon down to 8,500 HP. Shen has teleported in from behind. Do they detect him? They do. They have pings her down, and it looks like we might be still having a fight here. Fish are friends forced to flash out as well as utilize the Lulu wall. However, you do have Otacon. It is resetting, and Scoon is coming back on in. I think an accidental hit on the Baron just for fun. But man, this game is scrappy. And actually, they're just starting it back up. They're saying, bet, we're going to take this. We're going to try to go for it, get some damage on out. You guys are low. Karma is real low. You've got Wukong at about half HP. Grassroots coming on out. We're going to see what happens. We've got ourselves Wukong coming back on in with the Cyclone. 3 massive shields, including the Shen ult coming on in. Urson trying to clean things up on the back end. Does manage to take down Shen. However, what else can he do? Trying to burst people on down. You've got Karma going down to Scoon. However, Urson is traded on back. K-Man gets on the board again. However, he is low. Scoon trying to look again, seeing if he can get any more damage. Does he have enough? He does take down the Monkey. He is trying to prove he is the leader in the jungle. Takes down Orianna and takes down Duke. It's a triple kill for the side of Hotdog on the back of this 8-3 3-item Aurelion Soul.
Absolute cinema, bro. Shoot. What a play. But I mean, hey, that was just as much down to Lulu as it was to him. That shield there at the end, half of his freaking health bar. There's definitely 100% would have killed him, but if he didn't have Lulu there with him. But just goes to show.
So is one Lulu shield greater than a Karma, Orianna, and Shen shield? The world must answer this question.
I mean, it is when it's got like a lot better of a cooldown than the Shed ult. But,
yeah, and already coming back onto the Rift, we've got Hotdog going for the Baron. I'm not even sure if they're going to be able to get there in time. K-Man's looking for it, however, does not have the flash, so cannot really get over. And you've got Hotdog coming in with the Baron. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached late game Aurelion Soul.
Yup. I think I was about to say the same thing in my next thing I was going to bring up. He's pretty much hit critical mass in terms of his gold that he's gained. He's got Magi's... Sorry. Yeah, he's got Magi's Soul Stealer, dude. It's looking pretty good for him. He's extra fast, extra damagey, and look at all those stacks. His abilities are going to hurt. They're going to be huge, and just pay attention next time Aurelion Soul ult. It's probably going to take up, like... It's probably going to be, like, bigger than the entirety of the lane. Next time
Hamlet forced to flash on out. Still taking a good amount of damage.
Oh, yep.
The skies are descending. The nuke has hit. However, they all walk away. However, there's the inside track now from the side of Hotdog. They can potentially, and most likely, will burst down this tower. Late game Tristana absolutely melts these towers. They're going to be able to get themselves mid-inhibitor plus the tower and be able to get on out and retreat back to that Hextech Dragon. Otacon was taken. by the side of UC Pink in the interim. However, it will likely cost them soul point, because Hotdog is going right on in, trying to dedicate themselves to get that soul point, with K-Man staying in the top lane, trying to get that gold off that tower. Hotdog will likely transition this from mid-inhib to dragon to bottom tier 1.
Yeah, and key thing to note as well is that while K-Man was trying to back along with the Varus, Swain actually hit him with a W and canceled his back, so that even further messed up their ability to go for the dragon. He did make good use of the opportunity to try and go in for the top turret, which was really weak anyway, but yeah, Swain just has such a good way of messing up people's tempo like that, and I love the way that Hotdog is using him for that.
Oh yeah, definitely utilizing a break in tempo, a breakdown of their game plan, preventing UC Pink from ever kind of even being established as a 5-man unit ever since about 10-15 minutes into this game. Hotdog has been making sure that they are grouped up like a pack of dogs, and UC Pink has been anything but that for the past probably about 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and Fury might be banned, but the pack is still alive and well with the Hot Dogs here, clearly, as they're all going to back together now and get ready for this next fight. Got a lot of money to spend, and I'm curious to see this Tristana's buy. Definitely getting really close to that ability to buy. It's probably what she's going to be clearing these last few camps for, is getting her Infinity's Edge.
Yep, Urson does have enough in his pocket for IE on back, and Scoon is getting closer and closer to that ever-devastating death cap. However, you do see Duke getting up some good amount of durability. Did go the Terminus route as well as the experimental Hex Plate for some little bit of durability, and likely going with the Wit's End probably as his 4th item, if he ever gets to it with that Negatron quote. Fish, our friends, calling out, though, the Chains of Corruption, the taunt coming on in. All of the CC in the world! And it does take down the tree.
Yeah. I want you to notice what Swain has right now, by the way. Have you ever seen anybody buy that potion?
The Potion of Iron?
Yeah, the Potion of Iron. I do not typically see people buy that this early on, so that leads me to think that they think that whatever this next fight is probably going to be the decisive one. Otherwise, why would you buy that on Swain so soon? But
yeah, it's an early on item for him to buy it. However, the extra HP plus the tenacity that it is going to give you against this team that is pretty high, slow, and root and CC heavy, this could be an opportunity to have this. Some poke coming in from UC Pink, trying to utilize both the Void Grubs and their abilities to get a little extra damage in. Not really too much coming in, but do remember that UC Pink did collect all 6 grubs. Fish, our friends, finding the monkey in the woods. Does manage to walk himself on out. Are they going to look for a little bit more of a fight? They are not. They're just trying to reestablish some vision. But the Void Grubs that UC Pink did collect early on, if they win any fight, they can melt any of these towers that still stand for the side of Hotdog. So the next team fight will likely be what decides this game.
yeah, and like I said, that's probably one of the... Both teams know this. That's why Swain probably bought that potion. It's why UC Pink are playing so carefully as they are right now, trying to get as much gold as they possibly can without committing too heavily to a fight. They want to make sure that they can just get a little bit closer to their opponents. They know they're a little bit behind, but I mean, they're not overly so, especially like in the grand scheme of things. Like Ori probably doesn't do as much damage as Aesol, yeah, but like Varus, we've seen just how much he can chunk right now, especially if he lands ult on an individual target. They're not too far off. If they can just get like a little bit more damage on the Varus, a little bit more damage on the Ori, then they have a good shot of winning this next fight whenever it happens.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be all on who can outlast who. You got all the shields on the side of UC Pink trying to keep Duke, K-Man, and Hamlet alive. If you can keep them alive, you still can win that fight. But critically now, you've got yourselves really, really close. And also notice that Calamity did not pop the Potion of Iron yet. A lot of people just default an autopilot to just pop it as soon as they buy it. But he's waiting for the opportunity to when they actually will need it for a fight. Since Baron is up in 8 seconds, they might be looking to utilize that sooner rather than later. Also has that Seeker's Arm Guard, so does have the stasis to be able to keep himself alive for a few seconds longer.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wise move from him, but notice as well that Orianna, basically from nothing, had enough money to buy a Rabadon's Death Cap, and now she will do a heck of a lot of damage in addition to getting some heal cut going for the Tree and Lulu and Swain. So definitely going to be a very key member in this next fight. Unfortunately, doesn't grab the real guy there. Calamity.
Yep, clone is being used, so they are snuffed out on it. However, here comes Nature, and Calamity coming on in, popping his ultimate, immediately using the stasis to dodge the Shenal. Down come the skies. They are descending. How much damage can they get done? Calamity coming on in. However, is he going to be able to stay alive? The ultimate is used by Lulu to keep Fish our friends afloat. And Urasan is Goomba stomping left, right, and center. He does go down, but at what cost? The Duke is still alive, still not going down. However, finished off quadra kill for the side of Urasan, and now it is the Baron coming in. You got Scoon burning this thing down so fast. 5 for 2, going the way of Hotdog. They're going to be able to get all the rewards on the map, grab the Baron, grab the Hextech Soul, and man, it's all but over unless UC Pink makes a massive comeback fight. But I think that was probably the best fight, the best look they were going to get.
Yeah, that was the best good chance that UC Pink had in order to beat them there. I mean, I guess if they are able, I don't think they're even going to be able to catch this ASL before they finish it and back. I was going to say this is their best opportunity, but they just don't even have time to catch up to them. And so, yeah, it's going to have to be something incredibly special from UC Pink in order to beat this now incredibly fed, even more so in the lead Hotdog squad.
Yeah, and notice how Scoon, now level 18 on the Aurelian Soul, 5 completed items. This guy gave up first blood to Hamlet. He was behind significantly for the first 15 minutes of the game, and has now made a massive comeback, and is the main threat for the side of Hotdog.
Dude's got almost 900 AP courtesy of the Magi's Soul Stealer, 20 stacks. This dude just does not die. He's having a good time with it. And yeah, I think Hotdog Squad are just taking advantage of what they can, just doing things nice and slow, taking control of their opponent's jungle, and then pushing towards top. If they ever try to come into this, then Hotdog Squad will try and go for the immediately kill on all of them and end. They're just really trying to force this last team fight, but if not, they still got an opportunity to slowly end the game as well.
Yep, and the disengage and range capabilities from the side of Hotdog now are just becoming a little bit too much for UC Pink to deal with. The Varus damage and like the poke from Karma really not doing much anymore with the natural durability that most of these champions have, plus the scaling of the Lulu shield. So it's just very difficult now for UC to go on in, utilizing the Maokai ultimate just for the zoning, and that immediately grants them the top inhibitor tower. Probably not going to get the inhibitor, but getting pretty close. Mid lane inhibitor going back on down. They might look to still get that top lane inhibitor. Mid lane inhib does go down thanks to the stacked up Baron minions. Half health still on the top inhibitor. We'll see if UC Pink wants to commit to a fight. If they commit to this fight, they're going to need to commit probably around Nexus towers, because they are already getting poked decently low. K-Man trying to juke out and fake that he's the clone. However, they said, okay, if you're the clone, we're going to hit you. If you're not the clone, we're going to kill you.
Right.
Top inhib does go down, and now it's just continued poke, likely a reset from the side of Hotdog, and just a beeline for the bottom lane.
Yeah,
watch these items that they're about to buy.
Yeah, UC Pink unfortunately just kind of have to let all this happen. Otherwise, the game just ends like right then and there. But yeah, it looks like they are going to be investing very heavily in some potions of, what is that, Iron Will? I buy it so little that I don't even really remember the name of it.
We got the potions of Iron, and Scoon fully bought a Void Staff. This ASOL, this dragon is large and in charge. I don't even know how many stacks this guy has, but he has a lot of stacks, and he is probably about to let the skies descend on him. 436 stacks. I don't play ASOL, but I'm pretty sure that's a lot of stacks.
It is a lot of stacks. Like, I think it's like around the 200 mark that you're like considered to be like at.
Fisher Friends caught on out, immediately being bursted on down, staying alive for not that long actually, getting bursted down pretty well. Calamity coming on in, trying to do some extra damage. K-Man utilizing the ultimate and the shield, staying very, very healthy. A great and much necessary pick from the side of UC Pink. Keep themselves in this game, and that's exactly what they need to keep doing if they want a shot to win this one. However, you got Superman stacking in the top lane right now. They're forcing Duke to maybe deal with it, however, he's not, so you're going to have these supers starting to hit on the base right now, depending on how long you can keep them alive. K-Man's being bursted out. K-Man is immediately down. Coming on in, here come the skies. They have descended. There's a ton of damage coming on in, however, they're still walking away. The Karma Ultimate shields are pretty good, keeping everybody pretty healthy. However, their base is getting destroyed by super minions. You cannot keep everybody here bottom and guard that base at the same time. Shockwave coming on in. Immediately a great taunt from Shen to pair it on up. However, it is not enough. They got taunted themselves, getting bursted on down. And here comes Scoon. They're coming on in, going for the throat. And this might just be the end of game number 1.
Yeah, this might be the end of game number 1, but I mean, the Hotdog squad, they are still pretty low health, and they see that Wukong is going to be back up in 10 seconds, and they're thinking, maybe we just let it go on a little bit longer. We don't push our luck too much. Or we just send Assault back in TP.
Yep, you've got the Vamp Scepter on Tristana, so Ursan's going to be able to heal up a ton, and you already have the teleport coming in from Calamity and Scoon, so they are looking to finish things off here. Here comes the Maokai ultimate coming on in. Here comes the Swain ultimate. Clone goes down. Monkey goes down. Everybody is going on down to the Hotdog stand. Hotdog takes game number 1 versus UC Pink, coming on back down from early game in an absolute literal banger.
Yeah, back-to-back wins up against UC Pink today. I'm honestly, not only is this the first time I've seen them lose, it's the first time I've seen them lose twice to the same team. These guys are good, man. I can't really say much else. They're just really, really good. They seem to know exactly what they want to do and execute their comps properly up against UC Pink. Their drafts are good, their executions are good, their team play is good, and like they've just got such a deep set of things that they like to play with there as well. The one thing I was not expecting today was someone playing Swain top, and not only that, but playing Swain top well.
Yeah, definitely lots of unique picks and unique adaptations from the side of Hotdog. The Swain top definitely being a fun and different pick. And yeah, getting 2 wins already on UC and now being 1 win away from the finals. Can they get the 3-0 effectively on the day, or is UC going to be able to make a comeback and force a game 3 of this series? But what a great comeback from the side of Hotdog, and also while a great fight still toward the end, kind of a bit of a either, I wouldn't call it like a major collapse, but just like a couple critical plays here or there where it's the one got picked. You had K-Man getting picked in the jungle. You had Karma getting picked in the river. A couple critical moments that then just bulldozed by the side of Hotdog, just running them over. And now you have to think, these bans that you put on in, all right, do you need to ban the Maokai now? Do you need to ban the Lulu? What are some of the other threats that UC believes that Hotdog has? And are those threats greater than what you've already been banning? Because now it's do or die. Best of 3, you go down 1-0, you go down 0-1, you have 1 more draft potentially. You have to treat it as that. This is the last draft. We have to win this. So curious to see what adaptations UC is going to come in with, as well as what if Hotdog's going to be able to continue their ride, continue their climb up to the finals. But make sure you do go and you grab your hot dogs, you grab your popcorn, you grab your food, you grab your water, because we're going to be right back. And once we're back, we're into game 2 of this semi-final match between Hotdog and UC Pink. Welcome back, everybody. We are already neck deep into draft of game 2 of this semifinal matchup of Hotdog versus UC Pink. I'm Baskin Ives, joined by Kamaka, and we got ourselves 6 bans and 4 picks. We got Jinx, Talia, Vex once again banned on the side of Hotdog, and Nunu, and the addition of Maokai, the dropping of Nefiri on the side of UC Pink, and already 4 picks into the draft. Kamaka, what are you thinking of the bans? What are you thinking of the picks so far?
Well, I'm thinking it's really cool that Hot Dogs were able to get the dog on their team. It's been a very high priority ban throughout the entirety of the day. Pick or ban has been basically the rule for Nefiri. But yeah, the fact that UC Pink did not ban it means that Hot Dog are definitely going to be slapping that thing down, whether it be in the jungle or in the mid lane. It can be flexed to either one I've seen.
Yeah, and they didn't ban it, nor did they pick it. So they're definitely not comfortable on the champion, or at least not willing to pick it potentially blind, because they were still able to get the first pick Lulu for applause. However, the Kaisa Rel is a really strong bottom lane pick, and Lyssandra's going to give a lot of utility and also some good anti-engage for if Nefiri does jump on in.
Yeah,
However,
I was about to
Lulu
say,
Vayne
give some
is
anti-Nefiri.
Yeah, you got some anti-Nefiri and some good just overall engage now. You have Rel, you have Lysandra, multiple forms of engage. The Swain and J4 are bans on out. Likely a Vayne Lulu bottom lane, but they could always flex that Vayne to top.
That's true. I feel like I personally feel like it's likely that they are going Vayne bot, but that's just me. It wouldn't be too bad of a thing for Vayne to be going up against Kaisa either, in my personal opinion, just because, they're both short range ADCs. They both, and so Vayne wouldn't be getting like super hardcore bullied like she would if it was like another ADC, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Vayne Lulu early will absolutely decimate Kaisa. Like that's unless Rel lands the CC, which obviously you're always going to be able to dodge most of it with Tumble from Vayne, you'll lose that one. Like Lulu Vayne early is really, really strong, and Lulu Vayne late is also really, really strong. So I think the difference is Lulu.
Yeah.
But we do get that Vi potential pick here from K-Man. Again, they're going the exact opposite of last time. They went from kind of an all poke to now they're going all gas, no brakes, all in.
Yeah, going from all poke to all in seems to be the idea here for Hot Dog. UC Pink are doing pretty much the same old thing. They've got like a little bit of both. They've got hardcore engage. They've got a little bit of disengage from the Lysandra, but still, it's mostly engage. This is looking to be a very aggressive overall game, and I'm wondering if Hot Dog are going to go here. Vi is all right. Maybe they go Poppy or something like that. I don't think that would be too bad of a thing to do, especially with like Kaisa. Sejuani not bad either.
Yeah, the Poppy pick could be critical just because it stops a lot of, basically stuffs most of their engage. Sejuani, another good pick for Fish Are Friends, that durable tank duty. He's basically playing like Umpty would play in terms of Maokai Sejuani duty, but it gives them what they need right now, which is the one thing that Hot Dog is lacking on their first 3 picks is frontline and engage. So you get that with Sejuani, you get a little bit more of that beef, you get that front line. And Shyvana top lane, that'll be
or is it
interesting.
Top lane?
It could be. Now I'm suspecting that that's going to be an AP Shyvana, like Spear of Shojin into the rest of the items
like
being
her damage amp build.
Yeah, like Riftmaker, Spear Shojin into the Ambessa. I've not seen this matchup. I have no knowledge of this matchup. I know Ambessa is a champion that I despise because she has all the dashes of Cassante and Lucian combined.
Yep.
But I have no idea. I have no idea what these two matchups are going to look like.
Well, if it's Shyvana at top, then it's going to be in my opinion, probably a horrible time up against Ambessa. But if it is Sejuani top, then like I feel like it's a little bit skill based because like Ambessa can do like some dodges and stuff like that and dashes and really hurt Sejuani. But Sejuani can also interrupt her, and one thing that Ambessa hates is getting interrupted because it makes it so that she can't have enough energy to execute her full combo. So that's something that Sejuani could do well, especially if Sejuani is able to get like some good, I don't know. I feel like it'd be better to have Sejuani up against Ambessa than Shyvana, but like still, Ambessa can definitely do some good damage in the early levels to both of them.
Yeah, definitely is going to be real interesting to see what they do with it. If it ends up being that Sejuani top, that's definitely going to be an interesting thing. Again, I haven't seen a ton of the Sejuani top, but you kind of just go with like Heartsteel and Fimbulwinter and things like that as well. So it seems to be a bit of the flavor that Alcalamity's just kind of been doing this. Kind of playing the Bruiser top, the Disruptor, the Initiator of CC and stuff. So we'll see what he wants to do. And if that is the case, then it's likely, the Shyvana jungle with the Nefiri mid. And yeah, definitely overall pretty different looks, I would say, from both teams. You have a lot less engaged from the side of Hotdog, which I think was a critical part of their wins last time, their ability to just snap engage onto a target and blow them up. And then now you have all the engage on the side of UC Pink.
Yeah, I think that like I agree. Hotdog does have a lot less like disengage. I feel like they're pretty even-handed between their engaging and disengaging capabilities. Like you've got Nefiri, who her ult is just like vroom, go right on in. You've got Sejuani, who can hit people from a distance. You've got Shyvana, who can like dive on top of them. But then again, you can also use a Sejuani ult defensively. You can Vayne ult away to keep her away, like just a little dodge roll and stuff like that. And you got the Lulu ult to instantly knock people off if they engage onto her. But UC Pink's kind of got the same thing. You've got disengage and engage from the Rel. You've got engage and disengage from the Kai'Sa, engage, disengage. It's very balanced comps on both sides. And I don't know, dude. Like to me, it just sort of feels like who's gonna scale better, to be totally honest with you.
I think the critical thing this game is, does Vi get ahead?
That too.
Because if Vi gets ahead, Vi can ult Nefiri, Vi can ult Vayne, and the rest of the team can follow because Vi will still be alive. If Vi gets behind, Vi can ult either of them, and she'll end up dead by the time she finishes her ult. So that's going to be the critical thing here. Can K-Man get himself a significant enough lead to where he can constantly be an engaged threat? Because nobody else jumping in, Lissandra, Ambessa, or Rel, have the capacity to be durable enough to withstand the rest of Hotdog if they engage. Vi, if ahead, can. So I think that's going to be your critical pinch point for UC, and they're going to live and die by K-Man's ability to navigate team fights and get picks.
Yeah, I do agree that Vi, if she gets behind, is basically a little bit of a wet noodle. It's, as someone who's played Vi jungle quite a lot, if you're not getting like really if you're not getting anything going in the early game, then someone like Vayne towards later on is definitely gonna just like completely mess you up. Because like, yeah, early on your engage potential is really good compared to the damage output of some of these scaling champions, but like you said, if she gets put behind, Vayne will just like out damage her ability to engage. Like the thing about her abilities is they do take a little bit of time to go off, like her ult and stuff like that. But yeah, and I don't know. I'm just looking at things from like pretty much the rest of the game. I still feel like Kai'Sa does have some potential. What do you think about that? What do you think about the Kai'Sa pick?
So the Kai'Sa pick can always have potential for late game, because if you land any amount of CC, the Kai'Sa can come in from a distance and make it an uneven numbers fight, and does have a high amount of burst damage to be able to put somebody down. Early game, I give it to Vayne Lulu. I think late game, it's just kind of who gets on who first, because Vayne does obviously a ton of true damage and can go invis on the regular with final hour. You can still have Kai'Sa go invisible with supercharger. the Vayne is definitely more at risk because of the Rel, Lissandra, Ambessa, and Vi constantly going to be gunning for her. Early game between the Neferi and the Lissandra. My gut says Neferi wins that early game, but I also haven't really played or seen played reworked Neferi because it's just been permanent banned in all my solo queue games. But I think the issue that Hotdog might find themselves in again this game is their lack of ability to contest early objectives. Because Shyvana is going to be very critical of, I need to get level 6 to really be effective, versus Vi can still be effective pre-6. So I think UC Pink needs to do similar to what they did last game of just trying to get the objectives early and often and using that to pressure in their advantage. But we are not even going to a break. We're going right into game. We've been around here long enough. You've heard us ramble. You've seen our faces. And now you get to see these summoners playing immediately. The invade coming in from UC Pink, stacking his 5, seeing if they can find any unlucky suckers in the bushes.
Yeah, I think Lulu might have seen that. I can't quite tell with the vision, but ooh, this is gonna be really interesting. I think they're wise to it, yeah. So nothing really gonna be going on here for UC Pink, unfortunately for them, unless they plan to go straight on in and take her jungle, which it seems like the opposite is true for Hotdog.
Yeah, no invade, just a little bit of some vision. Also, getting vision pings from the side of UC Pink. They're privy to the likely invade from Hotdog. We'll see what they start with. I'm assuming that Fish Our Friends is going to start on his Raptors and get that going. We might just end up having ourselves a regular jungle. Looks like K-Man's trying to avoid the potential for a vertical jungle and might be looking for an early gank onto Al Calamity in the top lane. So we'll see what happens. However, we've got...
Look at this. Hold on.
Waiting in a bush. And then just taking some damage. So huge chunk already. 20% HP taken off the Rel.
Something I want to draw some attention to is look at the starting setup here for Sejuani. Thorn's Ring, Ignite, Arcane Comet, and TP. No flash, and is actually looking to get a little bit of damage going on here early up against Ambessa, which is really interesting. I would have thought that she would have gone for something like maybe Aftershock, maybe Grasp, but no, she's going for like Arcane Comet for some damage.
I mean, I think it's one of these things where the idea is that, you know, I need to beat this Ambessa early because this is where she is weakest. The capacity to beat her early game is kind of her main weak point. So I guess like that's the idea, like just trying to be aggressive and kind of upset the standard of the apple cart. We'll see already some good damage coming in from Goon. Hamlet trading well in though. The tower, the minion wave being right outside the tower is going to make it kind of difficult for Scoon to get anything else. And with K-Man being in the top lane, likely looking for either the mid or top lane for a gank.
Yeah, and I want to show, like, give a little bit of credence to what, like, Shun was doing there. If you noticed, he was able to avoid being rooted by Hamlet's W. He was within range for that, but I think he was able to avoid it by getting some invincible frames with his own W, which is going to prove to be very key in this fight, where originally I wouldn't have thought of that, but, like, with the Neferi rework, it kind of changes the dynamic of the fight a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely does change the way that can kind of work. And right now you're looking at both junglers have full clear. They're likely looking for the top and bottom scuttles. And the other thing to think about is with Shyvana, you do want to put the onus and the pressure on getting early dragons due to her passive with the extra armor and extra stats she gets from taking dragons. So we'll see if she can kind of focus more towards that bottom side. Al Calamity taking a good chunk of damage with K-Man coming on in, however, spotted out by the ward. We'll see if he tries to go for the flash to get a little bit out there. However, Al Calamity is wise to it and saying, you know what, you can come on in. I will just reset or fake the reset at least and force you back. Fish Our Friends scouting around in red side jungle, not finding anything, but at least getting themselves set up for potential dragon here in the next 35 seconds.
Yeah, I think it was wise from K-Man to try and back off of that. especially looking at the dragon timer, 30 seconds up, that fight would have definitely made him too late for the dragon. And if you look at the timings for the rest of his teammates, he might be able to go down here for bots at around the same time that Shyvana is. That's a winning fight for them, in my personal opinion, at least as far as Shyvana is concerned. Lulu doesn't quite have her ult yet, so I don't know. UC Pink might be able to get something going here. They might be able to at least help to get some push for it.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they're able to get any advantage. Ken did get an early back in, so might be able to get it. However, First Blood didn't even get the chance to see it. But First Blood came on in a little bit greedy from Calamity, trying to stay up top and punished by Yushi. Teleport's coming in, and likely that first dragon going over to the way of UC Pink, utilizing the tempo advantage that K-Man had with getting the earlier back. And we'll see if Fish Our Friends is able to try to get maybe some takeaways in the red side top part of the jungle to try to even some of that out. We got teleports traded in top side. And that replay coming on in, just seeing the pig go down. It's a rough one. It's a rough life for a pig versus a Noxian, warlord that probably wants to eat them. So, I don't know. Kind of rough.
But yeah, it's looking like Sejuani's not going to take the jungle objective getting lying down. She's going to try and go and take a little bit of something going on up here, but a little bit of a contestation coming on here. They're going to get one and back right up, or at least try to.
Execution coming on in, trying to get on Calamity. However, can the CC last long enough? You've got Rel coming on in, Lysandra coming on in. They look for the flash. They got the root, and down goes the dog. Flash coming on in as well. Another kill.
God.
3 kills and 4 kills coming right on in. UC Pink well ahead now of the curve. 4-0. Critical roam from Cobsler? I'm not even sure if that's how you pronounce that.
Cobblesabber.
Cobblesabber.
I think. But yeah, I mean, I just want to point out how much of a psychopath Yuishi is for attempting that. If we have a replay of that, I would have loved to see it. Going for a flash over the top of the tower with basically no minions left, just trying to fight the both of them. This dude is just non-stop fighting, and I absolutely love it. Really made that fight. Like, it was looking like Hotdogs were about to just take one and back on out, but Yuishi clearly had other plans, just flying on in with the ult, catching one out, and yeah, we're gonna see it here again. Nice little flash from Hamlet into the ult, really tying him down for a long period of time, and yes, without a single minion there, goes in and flashes and finishes him off. Yuishi, what an absolute psychopath.
Yep, and then K-Man being able to come on in to take the bit of turret aggro to prevent the extra damage. Otherwise, that certainly would have resulted in his death. A big advantage, opening up a 2k gold lead early on for UC Pink. We'll see if anything can change on that, but right now doing very similar work to what they did last time. However, we do have Fish Our Friends getting a little bit of some counter jungling going on in. However, this pick of the Sejuani will be very interesting to see how it continues to work against the Mbessa. And if they can get anything out of it. Currently going down 0-2, however, scaling? Question mark?
I feel like no. I feel like that's not going to be the case, especially with his rune and such selection. It's if you were going to beat Mbessa, I think like you were saying and like what he was thinking with his rune selections, it was going to be earlier on than this. But now we're starting to get to the point where Mbessa is just going to be like brutally beating him up in lane, probably, especially now that he's probably getting really close to being able to buy. I can't tell exactly what he's going to be going for right now based off of this, but I would guess probably Eclipse.
And immediately going back on in with the public execution. Oh my gosh, the Frozen Prison does go wide. It misses, and that's a 3rd kill over to Yushi. Massive so far on this Mbessa, and this Sejuani pick from Calamity just not working out right now.
Yeah, I mean, Sejuani is definitely something that I have seen go top. Ooh,
oh, Bashoon coming on in. Here come the dogs, and the dogs are out. They get the shutdown. The pack of wolves coming on in. K-Man looking to go in on Urson, however, gets polymorphed and chunked down to half HP. So a little bit of a comeback, still some fight. Applause messing with K-Man's timer to go on back. We'll see if they're looking for a dive here onto Lissandra. Rel ult ends up missing. Condemn pushing her on back. So no ult and still on that Hex Flash. We do have Dragon coming up here in 45 seconds. So we'll see if there wants to be a fight around there as we are prepping towards those next two objectives.
It's looking like it's... I don't know, coming into this next one, I still feel like just looking at things overall, like UC Pink are my favorites to take it. Even though Shun now has Hubris and can definitely do like a lot of damage to any one person in particular. They do have some potential, in my personal opinion, to win this out, but they're going to have to try and get like a gank or something like that going on beforehand, take out one of the players. But yeah, if they just go straight on in, pound for pound, front to back, I feel like it's UC Pink that takes that one for sure.
Absolutely. Right now, the 5v5 team fight certainly favors UC Pink. Back successful out Calamity, still to get through it, and lane swapping down to the bottom lane. Looks like they're going to be giving up that second dragon in favor for going for the grubs. See if they can get something going. Lane swapping top and bottom. Maybe seeing if Urson and Applause can have better luck against the Mbessa. They are getting a better tempo on the potential of this lane swap if they end up committing the back.
Yeah, and the timing for it is good as well because it'll give them a manpower advantage for taking grubs, which at this point, they just really need something going on here.
And they spot K-Man out on the enemy Raptors, going around and at least stopping the stack for objectives here. Immediately coming on in, though, here comes the Killer Instinct. However, the Killer Instinct goes to Shun, getting some good damage in. Flash in from Hamlet, still not enough to close the gap. He wants to ult, he wants to get on over.
He's gonna get it!
He's gonna see if he can. He does get the ultimate, however, is there enough? You've got Al Calamity coming on in. You have the Rel ult coming in to lock him on down, and the Frozen Tomb, not enough. Or Frozen Prison. Yeah, Frozen Prison is
so unfortunate that the Neferi just like whacks himself over the top there, right perfectly within the ult range of Hamlet, who is already mashing the R button from last fight. So, yeah, just a little bit unfortunate gameplay there from him. But, yeah, overall, a little bit of a good recovery moment there for Hotdog. They're able to, even barring the Neferi death, they're able to get some good grubs. It's going to help potentially with the lane swap. Them maybe being able to push back Mbessa, maybe being able to get some turret platings. But obviously the same is also true in the bot lane, only going up against the Sejuani. Duke is definitely prone to be getting some turret platings of his own.
Yeah, but right now definitely tempo in the favor of Hotdog when it comes to that lane swap. They went up top, got a bunch of farm, got the recall, are coming back down, getting a bunch of farm, while UC Pink's bot lane has had to recall and was out of mana. So they're trying to get a little bit of some advantage back and trying to accelerate their bottom lane, as well as give a little bit of a reprieve for Al Calamity due to the unfortunate situation he found himself in versus Mbessa.
Yep, and it looks like going for a little bit of a cheeky invade here, but Lissandra's coming in to give a little bit of assistance where assistance is needed. Might be a little bit of a weird and interesting fight going on here, but it looks like both teams are thinking better of it at this point, I guess.
Yep, right now just kind of posturing, seeing what small advantages they might be able to find and get, and otherwise just going back to getting some jungle camps, getting some farming in, and seeing if they can get anything. You've got Sejuani down nearly 40 CS, over 40 CS now, so gonna collect some of that wave, but in a pretty hard spot. Urson has popped the final hour, hit the condemn. Here comes Vi. K-Man coming on in, keeping Urson alive as long as possible as Applause plus the barrier and the heal. However, here comes UC coming on in. Public execution is going to work, and it's going to take them on down. You got another kill coming in. Vi still there. Vi still looking. However, the dogs are coming in. Oh, you got them such low targets. However, there's just not enough on the side of Hotdog, and UC Pink walks away with 2 kills on that one team fight. However, the fight may not be over. Still looking for a little bit of some poke damage and some chip damage. They can still look for this tower based on the HP available for UC Pink. We'll see if they decide to commit to try to go for this. First tower is still on the chopping block.
Yeah, Shun definitely wants it. He's definitely got the assassin's mentality going on here. Sees low health bars, and he's just all he sees is red. He just wants to go, go, go. But yeah, I mean, it is for good reason as well. It's not just pure bloodlust. He can definitely bully them off and get this tower, as you can clearly see here. Good objective being gained there from Hotdog.
Yep, and so you have now first tower taken by Hotdog. You have Feats of Warfare taken by UC Pink, and you've got 2 objectives to 1 for neutral monsters. So we'll see who can take that final set, whether it's this next dragon coming up in 40 seconds or if it's the Rift Herald coming in 30 seconds. Looks like a lot of good posturing from UC Pink to be able to contest and take this dragon, secure soul point, and secure they gave themselves a soul point and being able to claim those feats.
Yeah, really looking for Urson to roam over towards them, but it looks like that's not quite going to be happening. Sitting on bush, lying in wait, hoping that somebody will face check them, but yeah, UC Pink, this is kind of like the name of the game for them. They always love to get good vision and good positioning early on. That's exactly what they got. But
Shyvana coming on in, trying to get a little bit of junk. Usually misses the public execution. However, here comes Hamlet. Got so much damage coming on. Urson is stunned on up, still in the final hour. However, the final hour might just be his final hour. 4 for nothing on the side of UC Pink, getting a massive amount of damage on off, and still just being able to walk away, likely getting all the objectives and all of the gold this game.
Yeah, it's starting to look like UC Pink can really do no wrong. All these fights have been like super great for them. All these lanes are going pretty great for them as well. I mean, jungle, it's not like anyone's going like super crazy, but I would say that Vi is definitely being quite a lot more helpful, even if she isn't getting a whole lot of kills or CS for herself. Definitely been very instrumental to a lot of these fights where Lyssandra's able to follow up quite nicely with her ult, and Kai'Sa just follows in with her own. It's definitely been, I don't know, I don't want to say a jungle gap, but like it's definitely been.
Oh, and Hamlet going right on in and massacring. Applause. Lulu did not stand a chance, and I don't think they're going to really be able to look for another fight here either. But yeah, absolutely. It's not really too much the jungle diff in terms of the damage. However, it is in terms of the utility and what they provide. You've got a flash coming in from Hamlet. A great chain of CC. Another 4 kills to the side of UC Pink. At this point, if you're the side of Hotdog, you're just thinking at this point probably about game 3 and what it is you guys can maybe do different. You've got Rel coming in, burning the Ignite, burning the ult. However, just burning on down. Shutdown. The Rel had a shutdown. The Rel had 3 kills, ladies and gentlemen. And Shun has managed to pick up that shutdown. However, is it going to be worth it? Public Execution coming on in, getting suppressed. However, going invincible, popping the Wild Growth. And still some extra damage coming on in. Applause, keeping her mid laner alive.
Something I want to point out there is a funny little interaction there between, because if you notice, Nefiri tried to ult, what's her name, Mbessa, and Mbessa ulted her, but because Mbessa was actually unstoppable, Shun actually got knocked out of his own ult, so funny little interaction.
And here comes the Vi. However, Urson is there, stuns up, came in against the wall, forces the flashing out. However, Shun does manage to get the kill, force the flash off of Urson though. However, that is a much needed kill if Hotdog wants to make a comeback in this game. However, they're going to need to be able to do that a lot more, being down 12 kills and about 5,000 gold.
Yeah, if you could do that to Kai'Sa, that would be really nice. Or Mbessa, or Lysandra for that matter. Anyone with like a firm shutdown. But yeah, the unfortunate thing for Hotdog is that there's no real objectives up for them to take off the back of getting that really important kill. So they're just going to have to keep on doing what they're doing. Vi will be able to get back up for the next objective, but it's still good for Hotdogs to know that they can at least get a little bit of something. It's a confidence booster, if nothing else.
Yeah, it lets them feel like they've still got a chance in this game, which they do, but it's going to be on the onus of unforced errors from UC Pink that they're going to have to look for and exploit, because right now, there ain't a lot in their favor. All the range favors UC Pink, all the engage favors UC Pink, so right now it's just scale and try to succeed as little as possible when it comes to objectives and gold. How long can you last, and can you get to the point where you can get yourself into this game where you can pick a fight?
That is the question. I mean, good thing for Neferi looking at her is that... Oh, never mind. Her stack's expired, so completely take that back, but...
Yep, and Public Execution utilized in tandem with Frozen Prison. Good chunk of damage coming down. Lysandra Hamlet might be in trouble, forcing the self-ult.
I think definitely
trying to get as much damage as they can. May! Woo! Great turret aggro balancing, however, at what cost will this come on through? You've got Rel coming on in, managing to get on over, however, the burn from Rel is too much. The Ignite coming on in. Fish Our Friends is ceased and deceased by Vi. A great heads-up play from the side of UC Pink. Rel and Vi coming on in to circle around. However, still a good pick, a good shutdown, and that's going on to your onto the Fury. So that's kind of where you're wanting it if you are Hotdog. You know, getting a bit of a trade back, and also getting some more farm back onto Al Calamity. Hopefully that can mean something later.
Unfortunately, I don't think that Neferi is going to be enough on her own to win this thing out. Like, we did see a game earlier where that was absolutely the case, but it wasn't... I don't believe it was a game up against UC Pink. So, yeah, Neferi, all well and good to be nice and fed, can definitely do a whole lot of damage. One of the most busted characters right now, I would say, especially with a new rework, but... In this case, I don't think it's going to quite be enough. You just got way too much damage going the other way. Once Neferi goes down, you're going to need someone else to do something. Vayne, looking at her CS and stuff like that, is not
Public
bad.
Execution coming on in. Yushi wants the dragon, wants to take her on down, and probably will. Fish Our Friends has no way on out. Vi's coming in. Vi's looking for popping the ultimate. However, Frozen Tomb is coming on in. Ultimate has popped on up. Fish Our Friends may be down. However, he's got some friends still. However, how long will the friends stay alive? Urson trying to stay alive as long as possible in the final hour. However, he goes down. A double kill over to Duke. Pings are over onto the dragon, and that's going to be Soul, Infernal Soul, taken for UC Pink after another one fight. 4 for 1 on that exchange.
So, Hotdog's next draft. What do you think it's gonna be? Okay, I was just messing around a little bit. Like I do feel like it's getting close to the point where they can't really. That's probably what they're thinking right now. Is so what are we gonna pick for our next comp? But it
was a rough one. I think they tried to maybe metagame it a little bit too much with the Sejuani and the Shyvana. Maybe they were trying to flex some things around. Then went, oh wait, we don't have a pick for the Mbessa, so Sejuani top. Let's go with that. But it'll be interesting to hear what their thought process potentially was. But yeah, at this point, if you're Hotdog, you're probably mainly thinking about Game 3 right now.
Yeah, like, I respect all these wild picks coming out from Hotdog in the top lane. Like, the Swain last one, it was a cook for sure, but it was a good cook. But I feel like they may have gone a little bit too far with the Sedge this time and played something a little bit too far out of their comfort zone. But
yeah, they might have cooked a little bit too much. However, you do have Skoon just sitting down bottom lane, and Yushi's coming down to mess with him. You do have the potential, though, of teleport coming in from Al Calamity that might be able to give an advantage. You've got him coming on in. Immediately, Yushi backing on off is wiser to that situation and does not want to give over a 500 gold shutdown to either, especially over to the Neferi. Might still be looking to try to stop him on the back. However, caught on out. CC'd on up, not really able to get away, utilizes the public execution, however, it might be her own public execution, does take two down. However, the Dragon stops from being free. Applause now caught out inside the base. Season Assist coming on in. You've got Applause trying to fight for her life. However, that's not going to be enough. However, will Urson be able to keep himself alive? Flashing, dodging, ducking, dipping, diving. And that is how you play dodgeball as Vayne versus 3 in the top lane. You've got Duke getting CC'd into the wall, taking on down Urson with the major comeback kills, trying to put the team on his back and scaling into the late game as Vayne. A massive couple shutdowns going on to critical carries of the side of Hotdog. Fish Our Friends got that massive shutdown onto Yushi, and the Duke got shut down by Urson. Those are a couple of huge shutdowns.
Over 1,000 gold swing into the hands of Vayne is exactly what you want to see if you're Hotdog. Right now, I mean, next up, Vayne, it looks like, is trying to... Yeah, I don't know. Any items at this point would probably be good for Vayne. Like, she's already got her root. She's already got her Rage Blade. Sorry. I don't know why it was so hard for me to say the word Rage Blade, but anyways... Anything from this point, she's just going to be shooting so fast, doing so much on-hit damage. It's pretty much going to be good, but, I don't know, man. Is it going to be enough at this point?
It's not going to be enough right now, because you're down 8,000 gold. But if you need to continue to make plays like that, and still have that confidence and aggression to be able to fight, and not just say, oh, well, we got caught, well, I guess we just won't do anything. That's what you need to have if you are Hotdog and you want to still try to take this game too. Otherwise, yes, you're going to be looking at a game 3. UC Pink can still just sure up their play smart, play for the right play, get vision, get around objectives. You've got Elder in 2 minutes, and you've got Baron live right now. Looking, however, they might be getting caught out, and Bessa teleporting on in. The Sejuani ult goes wide. The Duke is maybe caught on out, however, not enough. However, he is taken down by the dogs. However, here comes Ambessa. They might be able to take down a couple, however, at what cost? Applause trying to keep himself alive, managing to get as much damage as possible. However, Scoon is not going to be able to get himself away. Manages to get himself out, however, probably not being able to get all the way out. Managing to dodge as long as possible, however, it's just the delay on the ace. Traded 4 for 5 for 1, and Baron is the reward for UC Pink.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that. They're definitely playing very well off their lead. They're not making a whole lot of mistakes, taking the fights as they come. They're gonna be getting Baron now, and so yeah, all they gotta really do now is reset, push it down mid, and this might very well be pushing things on into game 3. Fisher Friends and the rest of the Hotdogs obviously just gonna have to turtle up like a lot, and hopefully hope that UC Pink make a mistake, like, I don't know, send Kai'Sa into their jungle alone without any vision or something like that, and they can get this Elder Soul, but I don't know, I'm struggling to see the win con here for Hotdog, and that's just to the credit of UC Pink.
Yeah, absolutely. UC Pink has just been able to hit them with all the team fight diff early on, and now just with the wall diff. That last fight was a good look for Hotdog if they weren't down 9,000 gold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can win that fight potentially on an even playing field. However, we do have potential pick. Nope. Hold on nothing and just kind of push on in, dot the I's, cross the T's, either push on in for the final fight or pivot on over to Dragon. Public execution does miss. Final hour is popped just for safety. Flash coming on in, and immediately the flash frozen tomb from Hamlet comes on in. Ultimate
Maybe they might be able to
goes
counter
up wide and misses this. We might have the potential for a bit of a counter engage, however, you lack a good chunk of your damage.
Yeah, and with the rest
really
of the
only person that has any damage, and it looks like it's just going to be a retreat with some teleports and heading right into the Elder Dragon.
Yeah, there was a... I don't know. It was possible, but since Vi was able to rotate down there and wasn't being basically bullied out by 4 people in the mid lane, it was there was a slight opportunity maybe if Neferi could catch one of those guys, but it would have been really hard. I don't think it was even possible with the current standings of the things, but I don't know. It's gonna be Elder time. UC Pink got all the buffs, all the pryos. Just seems like all they gotta do is just put the little cherry on top, and in comes looks like Vi for Vayne. They spotted her down low, and they're just gonna look to end things right here, right now.
Yep, I don't think there's really much you can do, forcing the flash out of Applause just for safety, and it's going to be a final stand here on the Nexus Towers. You got all 3 inhibitors down, you got some thumbs on up, and at this point, it is Operation Desperation on the side of Hot Dogs, and for UC, it is just close out this game. Let's hit them down to 20% and let the Elder Dragon do the rest. See what's going on, though. Right now, they are just kind of still posturing, seeing if they can overload it, waiting for a couple of these waves of Super Minions potentially to come on in. But they are starting to get a little bit lower. Hamlet is getting a little chunked as well as K-Man. Glacial Prison coming on in. Hamlet forced to go into stasis. Staying alive. K-Man going on in, but is he going in too far? Is he going into his death? He is taken down. A Republic Execution coming on in from Yushi. He is getting low, though. 2 Elder doing enough. Yushi is going on down. The Duke is down. However, down goes Urson as well. Hamlet still alive, forced into the stasis. However, he is going to fall as well. That is a double kill for the side of Duke. However, shutdowns going across the board. They have managed to finally trade it 4 for 2 on the side of Hot Dog, and they make their first of probably many last stands here on the side of their Nexus.
Basket, dude, my mind is completely blown. if you should be able to win any singular fight, it's with this massive gold lead, over 10k gold lead at the time of the fight, with the Elder buff. But somehow, some way, Hot Dogs, I think just in part through some really great positioning from Vayne and target selection and ability to just evade notice, I guess, somehow they just won the unwinnable fight. Unfortunately, the fortunate thing is that it does make the next one a little bit easier, but the unfortunate thing is that there's going to have to be a lot more of those just because of how far in the lead UC Pink is already.
Yeah, the critical thing from that fight, if we do end up getting a replay on it, is that you had great target selection, like you point on out. You had UC Pink kind of split with being between top and bottom, and Hot Dog Focus said, you know what? We can go right on to Hamlet. We can potentially go right onto Vi. Look at this. You have all this space right here. Duke is on the bottom. Yushi is on the bottom there as well. However, we need to go right back to live because down goes a couple people. We got ourselves 2 people. Bottom lane is immediately taken on down. Urson and Applause both taken down. The Nexus final stand is coming on in. However, it's probably just going to be a lackluster stand as the immediate ace from UC Pink. They do take down Hot Dog. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to a game 3. We have a series on our hands after an absolute shellacking UC Pink has put on against the Hot Dogs in game number 2. Some of the draft a little bit questionable, some of the choices a little bit strange. So we'll see if Hot Dog is going to change their draft strategy. Maybe the Neferi Prio is a little bit more farce. However, like the Neferi themselves did very, very well. However, against that composition, I don't think they were really set up to thrive and didn't really have other tools to really complement them. What are your kind of thoughts on where you think some of these drafts might go next game?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of agree with you on that one. We've already been seeing a lot of the bans from Hot Dogs to be people that would counter Neferi. But unfortunately, as you can plainly see, you can ban just so many mid laners, but there's always still going to be like one left. Like they banned Talia, they banned Vex, and stuff like that, but they didn't ban Lissandra, so Lissandra got picked, and the dude played him really well. So I don't know if I don't know. Maybe you can just like, maybe the idea is to maybe go for something a little bit different. Like you can't maybe flip Neferi over into the jungle if their jungler has the capability of doing that. But I don't know, dude. It's tough. But one thing I do know for sure is that they probably should swap up the Sejuani or something like that. We definitely saw him play a lot better on Ornn and Swain. Both of those guys were banned, I do believe, so couldn't play that. But I don't know. I feel like that's definitely some of the things I would expect, at least from a change in the draft, is at least from a picking perspective.
Yep. Well, there are many questions to be asked, and hopefully, many, if not all of them, will be answered in Game 3. I'm expecting that perhaps my theory is that they will swap to red side for the side of Hot Dogs because it shows that UC was not willing to pick the Nefiri, even with it being available and them not picking it in blue side 1. So you could say if you do really want that Nefiri pick, you look to grab it on like red 3 and then double ban out whatever you don't want to deal with it against. But we will see if either of our theories or any of our theories are correct when we come back for Game 3 of this semifinal series of Hot Dogs versus UC Pink. Coming at you here in a few minutes. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Game Arena Spring Summoner Series semifinals. I'm Baskin Knives, joined by Kamaka for game number 3. But first, we have ourselves a latest breaking news update, and that is that the Jerks have earned their spot in the finals of this event, taking 2-0 over the Cleveland State University Vikings Green team. So a decisive 2-game victory in that series, and they are waiting for who's going to come out on top here. Kamaka, you've been a trooper this whole time, been powering on through. You ready for one more banger?
Absolutely, especially with how these games have been so far between these two teams. It's honestly been, I think, some of the best League of Legends matches that we've seen in the Summer Series period. And so, of course, I'm ready for another one of those. And we already are in with the anti-Nefiri bans and the targeted bans with the Ornn.
Yep, we got the same order of 3 bans from Hot Dog, only the same 3 bans, they just changed the order. Same bans from UC Pink as last game, and the same first pick. They are living and dying by this Lulu. We'll see if they adapt the rest of the draft for something else. And see if they still want to prioritize the Nefiri. Maybe it was just a bit of a comp diff or a bit of they flubbed the early game. They might want to do the salty run back. But we shall see. Again, we're getting the Rel. Are they going to pick the Kaisa? Are we starting the salty run back again?
I don't know. But you know what would be the ultimate power move? Is if UC Pink picked Nefiri. I would love to see that, honestly. That would be the ultimate gauntlet throwdown. But yeah, I think Kaisa, the run back on Kaisa would be pretty good. I think they also had some pretty good times on Varus, but obviously nothing wrong with how you played Kaisa the last game. Might as well go it again. That is correct. Swain is not banned. So we're going to be seeing Swain dropped down once again. Could go mid, could go top. But I feel like if he does go mid here, then if he does go top, then he opens UC Pink up to really countering him because Swain does have some horrible top lane matchups.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up picking with it. I mean, they feel pretty confident in that Swain blind. They could play it top, they could play it mid, they could play it bottom. I don't think it pairs really well with the Lulu particularly, but it's an option. The Nefiri, though, picking on up, so they are prioritizing the top laner and saying, Urson, you got a deep enough pool where we're not worried. They're getting rid of the Ambessa, so they don't want to deal with that with it. And they're also getting rid of the Volibear, likely a pick against Fish Are Friends to not have the bear running around in the jungle. But same 3 picks from UC Pink as last time, so they're confident in those. And the change up being the Swain instead of the Vayne for pick number 2 for Hot Dog. And we'll see what the remainder of these bans, as well as what their blind pick, likely their blind pick top lane will be. Getting rid of the Tristana, because they don't like that one either. That was a pretty big carry from the side of Urson in game number 1.
Yep, a lot of targets towards the top lane because, I mean, hey, he deserves it at this point. He's been playing really well every single one of these games, honestly, and so I feel like he has earned his target ban status. But UC Pink, Probably assuming that Swain is going to be top. What are we going to be seeing picked? Are they assuming that Swain is top? Because we could just as easily see Neferi being flexed into the jungle. So, oh, that would be the perfect thing to counter Swain top. Like, not only is Irelia good against Swain mid, also good up against Swain top. Literally makes it an unplayable game.
Oy, well, that is Irelia, everyone's least favorite champion if you're on the enemy team, because all you need is 900 gold and you're full build.
True.
Once you get that Vamp Scepter, it's Jover, man. So, yeah, Irelia likely going in the top lane, you would assume. But are they doing some swaps? Are they going to do the Naf in the jungle with the Rock potentially in the top lane, the Swain to mid? We could be getting a little bit of some 4D chess going. But we'll see what they do as their final pick if it is going to be a bottom lane champion. They are lacking a bit of AD, so I would expect that they are going to go with something to help try to carry into the late game in the bottom side.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if they have Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw will be pretty good here, but Caitlyn also perfectly fine. Varus, I think I heard tell that like this guy was very good on Varus, and that's why they UC Pink picked him the first time. I think you said, but now it's free and clear, and he's got it, and so he can do a little bit of mixed damage.
Yeah, they do have the Varus, which again gives them a bit of an engage button, or even a bit of a counter engage. You have any of these guys jumping on in, you press the Chains of Corruption, and it locks at least somebody down for a Malphite ult, locks somebody down for a Polymorph, for a Swain pull, for Neferi, for any of these things. The final pick being K-Man on the Nocturne, a great engage pick and a great way to create uneven fights post 6. So now it's going to be a little bit different, where you now have UC Pink looking for the level 6 power spike versus the side of Hotdog being able to potentially scrap a lot earlier with Neferi being in the jungle.
Yeah, I could see it. I feel like Neferi does a lot of her engages if it's not like a lane gank, it's probably going to require her to have her level 6. But I don't know. I haven't seen too much Neferi jungle since the rework because, she would always be able to W in, but now she would have to R in because they flip-flop those two. But yeah, I think we could be seeing both some really heavy-duty level 6 gank initiations, but I don't know. Looking at Hotdog Squad, just from like a solo queue perspective, we could be seeing like any number of combinations from this. Like it would be really toxic to see Varus top, Swain ADC, Malphite jungle, or Malphite mid or whatever. But like obviously, I feel like it's definite. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I feel like it's probably Swain mid if you're jungle, Malphite top, Varus ADC. At least I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't think Varus top versus Irelia would be a good time for Varus.
Yeah, that'd suck.
Like that just I really just don't think that's a good time. So I would not pick that, but it is looking like it is gonna end up being probably the Malphite in the top lane if you're in the jungle, Swain mid. So we're getting a lot of what we had been expecting. But it's definitely a different look. Again, we're back to Hotdog being on a tank top lane that also has a good go button, a little bit more reliable. The Malphite's going to be able to potentially get in on a lot of these targets. However, you still have some dashes from Irelia, Lissandra, Rel, and Kaisa. You have the shield from Nocturne that can make it difficult. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they kind of do because the range goes to the side of Hotdog. But all these teams want to do is they want to scrap. Everybody wants to get into a pit and just see who comes out on top. So this is going to be really intense to see for a game 3, which, to be honest, that's what we want in a game 3. We want this to be an intense brawl. We don't want this to be a sit back and wait for one team fight. We want these guys and gals down in the dirt, fighting hard, kicking each other, and seeing who's going to come up on top. So
yeah, I think
who do you think it's going to take this? Who do you think has the advantage and is going to be able to take this game 3 and meet the jerks in the finals?
I'm a little bit biased because they locked in my main, but I feel like it's Hotdogs. Like I feel like putting the Swain mid rather than top gives you a lot more agency to influence these early jungle fights, like the dragon and stuff like that. He can really roam around and help this Neferi a lot. Like I would argue maybe even more so than Lysandra because like yeah, Lysandra can roam pretty good, but like say you take a fight with the Swain and the Naafiri, it's like Nocturne tries to engage onto Swain. Swain wants that. That is exactly what he wants. Lysandra ults him. His ult doesn't go away. He can heal through the Lysandra ult, and Rel ults onto him and keeps him nice and close to the team. That's exactly what he wants too. So I feel like that's the team fights definitely look good if executed properly for Hotdog. And as soon as it hits level 6, the gauntlet's going down, dude, either way. But I obviously have my favorite Hotdog.
Yeah, I think if anything, Hotdog did a more creative draft with the Swain Naafiri pick. They kind of went, okay, well, Swain's going top, Naafiri's going mid, likely, because that's what they did last time, and those things should be fine. The fact that they have now swapped this and kind of, they let them pick their core of their mid and their top lane before revealing the Malphite. That let them hopefully get a bit of an advantage on their end to say, hey, surprise, we've changed it. But certainly, we're going to find out what it is that they how this ends up executing on. You got the final word on this one before we cut this over to a break. So what do we got?
Yeah, and that's like a really good point you bring up as well. Like the fact that I feel like they were so confident that it was going to be Swain top that they locked in Irelia. A great counter pick, right? But but then they lock in Malphite. Not so great of a matchup for Irelia. And so it goes from being like, oh yeah, this comp is a slam dunk, to being like, ooh, maybe we locked into something that maybe we don't have as much experience on. But I mean, a lot of the bans were banned already against UC Pink, so I don't think that's necessarily too close or far from the truth. I feel like he could have maybe picked Irelia anyway, but either way, neither here nor there. We've got a little bit of a break coming up before we get into this one, ladies and gentlemen. And don't go anywhere. It's all about to go down.
All right, one more time into the breach, our friends, with this semifinal matchup. Hotdog on the blue side, UC Pink on the red side. Everybody sitting in some bushes and getting ready to stack on up and posture on up. We immediately got some fights. We got a 4-man pull from the Swain, already chunking everybody down. We got a split map here. We'll see if anybody tries to do anything cheeky, anything interesting. A little bit of chip damage on down. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back to Summoner's Rift. Even more damage onto Hamlet. Getting spiked really, really low. Forced to get the recall. But welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Baskin Knives, and joined by Kamaka. And we are here, ready to go for this game number 3. And it looks like the Summoners are well more than ready to go. And we're already looking at another bush stack, too. Kamaka, let's talk about it.
Dude, I love this so much. Hotdog are just being so ridiculously aggressive. I mean, they're pinging it. They're pinging up. They're going in, but yeah. Unfortunately, the Swain is not there for the grab. He was landing a lot of those earlier and was the source of major of their success. But yeah, that's also going to be meaning that Swain's going to be starting this fight mid with a lot more health as well, which is interesting. Especially interesting that
going on in onto the Rel, getting a little bit of potential poke damage, already chugging her down, and Naafiri getting the counter jungle. Looks like we got ourselves a vertical jungle, which makes sense. You're not going to really play towards the Malphite if you're the side of Hotdog, because you're definitely going to want to play towards it if you're the side of UC Pink, and vice versa in the bottom lane. You want to play towards the Sparrows Lulu.
Yeah, no, what I find to be interesting also is the fact that they have completely lane swapped the Lysandra top and put the Irelia mid. It's still not a great matchup for Swain, but it's definitely a lot better with the shorter lane. He's able to much more efficiently get away from her. And if he's able to land some stuff on her, can have some pretty good sustain in lane. It's just, either way, a much better situation.
Yeah, they're definitely looking for that swap, and we're going to see who can manage to maintain the win on the swap, if they keep trying to match it and change lanes, or if they just accept that there's going to be a tough lane. Bottom lane, though, Urson and Applause getting a ton of damage onto Duke. However, we've already got a gank. Fish, our friends, are coming on in. The Fish has dogs, and those dogs definitely bark, they bite, and they force the flash out of Yushi.
Oh, but look at this. Nocturne thinking he's going to be coming out in here, but Shun doesn't... Well, he knows that he's coming. He's got a little bit of a ward down in there, so he's chilling. But, going in for a little bit of a... Never mind. I thought he was going to try and go for the
looking for it. still seeing if they can get something. Still that one minion where they could get a potential root on it. I think at this point they're just trying to waste a bit of time and prevent the back. And yeah, just a case of vertical jungle right now. They're going to see if UC Pink wants to play their mid-top side and Hotdog wants to play to the bottom side. Right now, just, yeah, some good trading back and forth. Teleport being used by Yushi to get herself back into lane. An early advantage from the Swain, an early advantage overall in the gold. You got yourself a 300 gold lead already built up by the side of Hotdog just in CS and tower plates. Like, they've already got a tower plate bottom at 4 minutes, and that's a really impressive push that they were able to get.
Yep, looking pretty good CS-wise for Urasan. He's definitely keeping the pressure up nice and high, as you can see. Kabul Saber taking a lot of stacks there of the Blight. Could definitely be getting hurt a little bit if Urasan does decide to blow up those stacks. And yeah, as you can see from the health bar on the side of the screen there, Kabul Saber's time in this lane is not going to be very much longer.
Yep, forcing the back out of Kabul Saber and the Duke just being low as well. The early game advantage that Hotdog was able to take with the poke bottom lane, a little bit of that early on fighting, definitely paying dividends with them basically being about at 2 plates already taken in the bottom lane. With not much response, a over 2 wave advantage. And the wave is slowly going to be pushing back towards the blue side bottom.
Yeah, currently there is a little bit of an opportunity for Hotdog if they want, where Kaisa is going to have to back, and Varus will be in lane. If Nefiri was a little bit more on the bottom side of the map, which would have been hard with the current tempo, they could have maybe gone for the dragon, but I don't know. That still seems to be a likely thing for them. I feel like as soon as Swain gets 6, Varus gets 6, it's probably going to be what they end up doing, is trying to go for one of these fights, either on Irelia mid or 4-man down bot and then into dragon possibly.
Yep, and we'll see if they end up trying to set up a freeze here bottom that could really zone the Kaisa off. See if Nefiri can get herself into it immediately with the Irelia ult coming on in, as well as the Swain ult. We got a huge chunk. Flash coming in. Yushi goes down for the first blood. Shoo! Raise those hands on up. He said, hey, I did it. First blood coming on in for the side of Hotdog, taking down Yushi with that Irelia and setting themselves up for potentially going right into this early dragon with a huge advantage in both mid and bottom lane now.
Yep, Swain now going to be going for a little bit of a back of his own, spend his money and all that. Is going to have ult pretty dang soon, but probably going to be looking to... Oh, hold on a second.
Yep, Kamsar forcing the flash and heal out. However, the flash of his own goes on down. And Urson gets himself a kill. K-Man is looking for fish are friends. He wants them to be food. However, I think he's only going to find some berries as food. So that's okay. He at least found the berries, but a huge chunk of damage onto Fish Are Friends, definitely stopping the capacity to do the dragon. However, now, if they want to, they can just do a recall, head up to the Void Grubs and try to look for those. K-Man is still not level 6, so still has a bit of an advantage. Calamity coming on in with the unstoppable force, looking to take Yushi on down. Yushi's ducking and dodging as long as he can. The feats of warfare are claimed. And Shun with the fist bump with Calamity, creating Calamity for Yushi in the mid lane.
That was an absolutely immaculate roam. He is going to be going down Calamity in terms of CS in a little bit, but I don't know. It's not a lane that he's going to be necessarily out and out winning anyway, so he doesn't mind losing a little bit of CS to get Swain even more ahead. And not on top of that, get Irelia behind is the main goal there as well. As a Swain player, I can tell you very firsthand that if you get ahead on Swain, you can pretty much kill like 2 or 3 people at a time. It's definitely a snowball early game champion if you can make it that way.
And critically, you saw K-Man was looking for that critical first Nocturne ult. They always tell you that first Nocturne ult is the big one that you always want to do. Level 6, you get the ult off. Shun was able to back himself away just enough to where you could not get the engage from Rel, you could not get the engage from Nocturne. So First ult not going that way, and it looks like Void Grubs are coming in for Hotdog with the trade of that Dragon for the side of UC Pink.
Yep, Grubs for Nefiri and Dragon for Nocturne. Pretty good trade. You definitely don't want Irelia to be getting those Grubs at all. She can take turrets pretty dang good. But, yeah, I feel like next Dragon that's up, Swain will more than likely have his first item completed. And maybe even then some, and that's when he's going to be looking pretty good. I know I'm focusing a lot on Swain here, but it's just the truth. He is the one that's like really far ahead here and probably going to be building Blackfire Torch within the next 2 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, Swain is the Grand General of Noxus, and he's definitely the most valuable player and Grand General of this game right now. If you are playing around this Swain, if he wants to fight, you just say, sir, yes, sir, and you go on in. But to your earlier point, in the game, you were talking about Alcalamity losing some CS, but that not being a big deal. Absolutely agree. Malphite plays the weak side. Malphite's main goal is I press my high skill button and I jump on you. That's what you want to do if you're Malphite, and so you can be low econ and still be successful because you have such great utility, and your goal is to disrupt and CC somebody.
Yeah, and yeah, the great thing about Malphite and Swain for that matter, and Nefiri, is that they're all very gold efficient characters. Like, they don't really need, like, especially Malphite, his items, 1, don't cost a lot, 2, he gets a lot of good benefit for them. And Swain and Nefiri are a lot of the same way. Their items are very cheap and they get a lot out of them. So the fact that they're able to each get like even a decent amount of CS, and in Swain's case, a lot of kills, means that they're about to hit their spike really, really soon. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be too shocked if we saw Swain trying to get that going a little bit more around on the map. I know that Varus is already ahead, but could still be more ahead. Wouldn't be too shocked if we saw him, like, you know, make a little bit of a roam arena down there. Could be good.
And let's look to see if they do try to make a play here on the bottom lane. They have the wave effectively frozen, and K-Man sitting in the back, potentially ready for a Nocturne. He canceled his own back, so I think they're looking for potential engage. You also have Yushi doing the roam down. I don't think they're going to really be spotted out potentially until it's a little bit too late. K-Man goes on in. Here comes the darkness. They're trying to take down Applause. However, the flash and the wild growth might be just enough to keep her alive. However, she just barely goes down. Urasan is trying to do what he can. However, he is out of mana. He is likely out of options. Flash coming on in. Yushi takes the kill.
Oh, look at this.
However, is Yushi going down? Yushi is going on.
Oh, he's going.
Scoon's going on in. Gets the flash. Goes up. Keeps going with all that burn. Gets a double kill. Is he getting a triple kill? He is getting a triple kill. And Alcalamity misses the ultimate. However, the quadra kill for Shun, ladies and gentlemen. The Swain is large, in charge, and ready to go.
And he's got a max stack Dark Seal on top of that, dude. His AP is gonna be so crazy right now. But yeah, I was seeing, like, I'm like, oh, I really hope Nocturne doesn't go in for an engage here, because as soon as his ult expires, I know that Swain's gonna take a TP, which was up at the time down there, and probably mop up shop if they were able to, one, hurt them enough, which they were, two, survive long enough, which they did. And with that comes a very easy mop up for Swain.
Yep, they may not have been the first to roam. However, they were the more equipped team to counter in a 3v4, able to be successful. Fish Our Friends is coming in. He's finding Yushi, however, CC'd up by Cobblestobber. And however, they are finding themselves between not a rock and a hard place, but a Noxian and a hard place. And that is not a fight they want. Fish Our Friends has found his food. And it, pardon, is Irelia. Another huge fight, and right on the heels of when the next set of Void Grubs are spawning. And you can see that all 4 members of the critical part of the team for Hotdog are up top here, ready to take that next set of Grubs.
Dude, if only Malphite were there, then we could have said they were stuck between a rock and a dog place. That would have been a really nice little play on words we could have done there. But unfortunately, Malphite had to have good laning presence and just be in the right place at the right time, so I couldn't make my joke, but, you know.
Yeah.
More important things.
But
Priorities.
hopefully the puns will come out as many times as the dogs come on out. But right now we're sitting in a very strong position, about 2,500 gold lead for Hot Dogs. They have a 2-to-1 advantage in the feats of warfare here, and they already got the feats of warfare, and they are one objective away from getting the second feats of strength, with it being the objectives. However, you already have UC Pink posturing on this dragon, and nobody in sight from the side of Hot Dogs. They're likely going to give this one on up and look to either get an advantage by going top. There's no teleports currently available for UC Pink, so it looks like they're going to have such a great tempo advantage of playing around the map and moving people to keep pressure on these lanes and get Malphite back in this game and give him some time to farm.
Yep. And just looking at things overall here, it's looking like,
Nocturne coming on in. Here comes the paranoia. However, it seems like they're the ones that are currently trying to look to be paranoid. Urson goes on down. Applause is likely quick to follow, just trying to distract them, saying, hey, I'm cute little Yordle, come and get me. Yushi gets herself a critical kill, 2 kills on the Aurelia. However, feats of strength were claimed by the side of Hot Dog by taking down that first tower.
Yeah, definitely a worthwhile death for them, able to get the feats of strength. They're going to get a minor boot upgrade just for the result of that, and the ability to get another one on top of that. It's not the most, again, it's not the most crazy of things, but it's still, at the very least, worth the death.
Based on how these games have gone, I think even the smallest advantages will help tip the scales for either of these teams. So whatever advantage either team can get, they're certainly going to be looking for. And now the next thing on the chopping block is the Rift Herald in about 45 seconds. However, UC Pink does still have the Dragon win condition. We have ourselves an Ocean map and Ocean Dragon coming on up. They're already on 2 dragons. They just need 2 more for that Ocean Soul, and then it will make it pretty difficult to have the Hot Dogs knock anybody down on that team if they're getting all that healing. And Irelia coming in now with 1 completed item, that Blade of the Ruin King. She's effectively full build. Everything else is just an extra bonus for Irelia at this point. So they certainly can look to pick their fights. However, you've got the fully completed 2-item Swain of Blackfire Torch and Leandries, and the 10-stack Darkseal. So in a really strong spot for this mid lane, as long as they fight as a core unit.
Yep, and it's looking like they're prioritizing towers. They've got waves pushed on both sides, but Lysandra coming in here looking for something.
Yep, critical polymorph from Applause to stop the Rel from getting the engage. But yeah, you've got 4 people in the mid lane, and now you got 5. We're getting ourselves ready for that team fight. We'll see if Hot Dog wants to take this fight, or if they just want to turn their sights over to the Rift Herald. Looks like they're going to be going for the Rift Herald. Shun is able to get a good chunk of damage down. If there's a time to fight, it's going to probably be soon for the side of UC Pink. However, all that posturing results in a whole lot of nothing. And they moved Yushi up here and just didn't go for anything else bottom. They lost that wave. They ended up not really pressuring any towers. So kind of a bit of tempo mismanagement on the side of UC Pink for that play.
Yeah, while we have a break in the action, I know I've been talking about Swain a lot, but can we get a stack check on him, please, just because he's doing so well? 31, that's not really too bad, honestly. I was expecting it to be like a little bit more, but it's with the amount of kills he's gotten, but that's still a very good amount to have at this stage of the game. That's like 15, 13 health per stack that he's got there, bonus health, and that's definitely going to help him in these early game fights. He's probably got a lot more health than even Nocturne, who's building health items.
Yeah, probably is one of the tankiest members right now in the game.
Cool.
And just right now, if you're Swain, it's if you're the side of Hot Dog, it's protect Swain. We fight around Swain. We move with Swain. Like, that's when they want to take every fight. But if you're the side of UC Pink, you're looking for that mismatch fight. You're looking for that opportunity to turn off the lights and use Paranoia to dive in and create an uneven numbers. If you manage to do that, then there's still a chance, but Right now, all the advantages are on the side of Hotdog, but this dragon number 3 coming up here in 50 seconds, we'll see how people want to do in terms of posturing. Teleports are available from everybody in the teams that have them, and basically all summoners outside of Ursan's Flash are available for this critical dragon fight.
Yeah, and I have to say as well, I feel really bad for this Lissandra, dude. Hasn't really been able to do too much all game, just like clearing waves, hitting turret, kept hitting a guy that she's never, ever, ever going to kill. And I don't know, I just feel like now, retrospectively, that the lane swap wasn't a very worthwhile thing to do. I feel like she would have been better off versus Swain, and I don't know. Definitely a great thing that they did early on again in the draft where they picked him out with the Swain pick, but yeah, I feel like they just need to try and get Lissandra a little bit more involved in some of these fights now.
Yeah, they likely will try. Rifthold being spawned in the mid lane as Dragon is also being spawned. We'll look to see if Hotdog just want to try to burst down this Dragon prior to letting anybody get to it. It looks like that will likely be the case. I don't see a world where UC goes on in. It looks like they are going to concede this objective and just look to try to get some push mid and top lane. So Hotdog successfully thwarts UC's dragon stacking plan, and while the Rift Herald gets no value in terms of taking a tower, it zones them off the objective and allows Hotdog to be able to get themselves set up there, and they might be looking for a little bit more. Fish Our Friends is in the jungle, and well, he's looking for some food. Oh, Rel, buddy, you didn't jump far enough. However, you did get the flash over, but it's not enough. Ursan gets himself the kill, gets himself set on up, and the unstoppable force of Calamity coming on in. Killer Instinct might be enough to get him away. The paranoia coming on in. Fish Our Friends is in a little bit of trouble, goes untargetable, forcing the flash out of K-Man, and he is still on the run. Ursan gets a double. Ursan gets effectively a triple kill off that fight. A great flash immediately once it came off cooldown
too.
And Hamlet, you know, I think we all, if we read Shakespeare, I think we all know what happens to Hamlet here. So, this one's a rough one, buddy. Scoon is godlike indeed. He is indeed a demon. So, right now coming in strong, you have Yushi coming on in with that teleport. I'm not sure if that's a really well-advised teleport. It really gets strung up by Scoon, but whew. This game has blown up real fast for the side of Hotdog, and they are taking advantage after advantage every chance they get.
Yeah, I know. Again, I feel really bad for this Lissandra. They just keep putting her top for the split pushes when that is just not a very good use of her champion. They're trying to swap it up now with the Irelia, as you can plainly see. But dude, it just reminds me of, like, have you ever seen that Rick and Morty episode where, like, there's like that little robot that passes the butter, and he's like, "What is my purpose?" But Lissandra's like, you clear waves. And she's like, "Oh my god." Not feeling too good purpose here.
Yeah, Lissandra is basically the you pass the
butter passer.
Yeah. And right now that's kind of it. Now the thing that they do have the advantage of is, well, Lissandra, that can be okay. If you're just clearing waves, you're stacking up, you get yourself to the point where you have a Zonias, then you might be fine. That might work out, because you still can just walk on in, press your R button, get somebody locked down, but at this point, who can you really lock down? Nefiri, maybe? I doubt you're ever getting in range of the Varus, and everybody else is just way too tanky. Like, I think at this point, it's just going to be very difficult for UC Pink to really cut through the front line of Calamity and Scoon.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at things overall, just purely on numbers, like the goal differential and stuff like that, it's not the worst. They can definitely come back from it, and I mean, late game Irelia is definitely a force to be absolutely reckoned with, and so is Kaisa. So I feel like there is a point where if they're able to survive long enough, get one good enough pick, like especially that 700 gold shutdown onto the Swain, the game does have the ability to turn, especially since Swain has invested quite heavily into his Magi's Soul Stealer. If he dies and loses that will be a little bit unfortunate for him and will delay his ability to get more items and give Irelia a little bit of an opportunity to catch up a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be on them to be able to wear out this this Hotdog lineup and be able to just hold on as long as they can. If they can win the war of attrition, they're... Yeah, late game Irelia is definitely scary. Late game Kaisa can be scary. I just don't know if you're ever going to have enough damage to really burst through anybody. Like, you almost have to just, like, immediately blow up Applause on the Lulu to give yourself a chance, because then there's no shields, there's no polymorph. It looks like we're going in for a fight. Frozen Tomb immediately on to finish our friends, and the dog is down. However, potentially at what cost? Polymorph comes on in. K-Man is down. Varus is on a rampage. Varus is on a triple kill. Varus is unstoppable. Urson with the triple kill. You may have gotten the dog, but the dog was just the fish bait here. And Urson with the Varus coming in hot. And we've broken this game wide open.
Yep, and now they're going to be able to not only get that turret, but go down and safely, being the keyword, get Otacon. I think it was one of the earlier games between Hotdog and UC Pink where UC Pink had a pretty solid lead, but as soon as they went for Otacon, the Acel was just able to come in and clean them up pretty nicely on one of the Baron fights. But I don't foresee that happening this time around if they go for it. But it seems like even though they were in a pretty decent spot to do it, they're not quite feeling it now that all the enemies are back up taking the dragon.
Yeah, absolutely, you know, kind of just play a little bit of the caution game here. You guys got the dragon. You guys have a lot of gold on that reset. Take the back. Compose yourself. Win the next fight and go for Otacon. Because the worst part is if you went for Otacon there and you lost, they get Otacon and Baron based on that timer.
Very true. I just, based off of that last one, I feel like a lot of them are very hesitant to try and go for Otacon because we've seen so many times in a lot of these matches that the team that goes for Otacon typically ends up throwing it and loses the game. But UC Pink don't have a whole lot of options, and their opponents are going for Baron, so they're like, might as well try.
Yep, they're trying to get something. They're going to want to try to get both. They're immediately going to want to get for this Otacon, then try to teleport themselves in with Irelia and get in range with Nocturne. You can see that they are keeping Yushi on Otacon, sending K-Man up, looking for that ultimate. Coming on in, here comes the Paranoia. They're looking to come on in. Can they get the Smite steal? And no, they cannot. All they find is death by arrow storms. Urson's on a massive rampage right now. He is on a warpath. He wants to send the Hot Dogs to the finals. And it looks like they might just be able to do it. They're going to be marching down mid lane now. Baroned up minions in hand. And I don't think anybody on this 3 that remain for UC Pink can stand a chance, especially with 6 grubs. They have a whole army. They may not have the Noxian army, but they've got the Void Might army. And that might just be enough. Hamlet forced to self-on. Oh, Yushi coming on in, but it's not going to be enough. Forcing some flashes, though. Getting a little bit of some delay here. We're going to see if they can try to go on in. Yushi trying to come in to keep fighting. However, he's immediately taken down by the dog pack. Fish, our friends, coming in hot on that Nefiri, and this on-hit Varus doing so much work, so much damage. They might just be able to end it here.
Yeah, now that Irelia is dead, definitely have the opportunity to do that. Look at that chunk they just did onto Rel. It's looking really good for them, trying to find a little bit of a way out of the Kaisa, but just gonna have to clear the wave a little bit before that.
Yeah, at this point, if you are UC Pink, it's now or never. You want to fight before your Nexus towers go down. It looks like they are coming on in. They're using the Paranoia, the Unstoppable Force, though, coming on in to get the Kaisa off. And it does not matter how much you throw at this Swain. You could throw the kitchen sink. You could throw all of Summoner's Rift at this Swain. He is not going down. Hot Dog wins the series in a pretty big stomp against UC Pink, and that right there is what we call a certified banger game 3 of the semifinals. Huge shout out to Hot Dog, huge shout out to UC Pink. They always show on up and they kick a whole lot of butt and they make everybody on the team work for it. And also just shout out to every team that showed up today, whether you had made it through the bracket stage or maybe you just were still in the group stage. Everyone who showed on up, thank you all for being here. Everyone who showed up in the chat, everyone who showed up in the stream, thank you all for being here. You guys are what make this fun. You guys are what make Kamaka and I be able to have some fun casting it. But oh my gosh, what a series. Kamaka, what are your thoughts, including all the Swain thoughts?
Well, I've said a lot of what I already wanted to say about Swain, other than the fact that the general idea is that he played it really well. And as a Swain main, I'm very happy with how he played. He played it exactly how I would play it, and so hats off to him for that, especially that first blood under the tower, textbook, rooting them under the tower as soon as they dive you. Well played. And so, yeah, they just executed really well. I don't really have anything much else to say about that. They took the fights exactly how they wanted. They forced their opponents to come straight on into them. That's exactly what they wanted them to do. And yeah, my other thoughts before ending this off, Basket, is that for the first time since I have started casting these Summoner series, which I think is this is my second or third year of doing this, a team besides UC Pink will be winning this. They have won every single one of these Summoner series that I've cast so far, which is at least 3 or 4. So the fact that another team is winning is historical, to say the least.
Every dynasty has its ups, it has its downs, and it looks like at the moment the dynasty of UC Pink is down. They fought hard. They kicked some serious butt in game 2. I think the draft adaptations from Hotdog in game 3, grabbing the Neferi and Swain early and likely mind gaming them into thinking the way that they wanted to play
100%.
that pick was paramount to their success. Again, a ton of credit to UC Pink, always putting on a great show, always showing up and always showing out. But today's winners of that semifinal, it goes to Hotdog. It goes to the back of Shun on that Swain, and the rest of the squad too. Ursan was an absolute monster later in that game on the Varus, and I believe that we are in an absolutely awesome spot for these finals. I think Jerks versus Hotdog is going to be an absolute banger of a finals for this event. But we will talk to you guys about this right on the other side of the break. We got our finals coming on up. Grab your food, grab your drinks, go to the restroom, and we'll be right back for the finals of the Game Arena Spring Summoner Series. All right, everyone, we are back. Quickest break, shortest break that we've done all day, and that's because we have Al Calamity, the top laner for Hotdog, here with us today, coming off of a very fantastic and very, very well-fought game, game 1 and game 3. A little bit rough there in that game, too. I think we'll touch on that one. I think a little bit. We might touch on that one first. But first off, how are you feeling? Gotten through that 3-game series, pushing it through. It's getting late out there. I know it's 8:30 right now for you guys, and into the finals. How are you feeling?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm feeling good, but at the same time, I'm triple Red Bull crashing right now. So I'm shaking, and I got it feels like I'm playing with Parkinson's. If you know that Malphite TP ult flash or flash ult, I was like, oh.
Get this man some water. Get this man something that's gonna help him out. Get him some decaf tea or something.
Get this man a 4th Red Bull.
Yeah, honestly, it might. I think I'm gonna go 1 to 2 more this set.
You just gotta lean into it. You just gotta lean into the curve.
I can't crash if I keep going, right?
So true. So
You,
true.
you don't get hungover if you don't stop drinking.
Exactly.
Please drink responsibly, everybody. But first thing I want to touch on. So game 2, was it always the plan for the Sejuani top, or was that just a flex adaptation based on what they ended up showing?
It's more of a flex to top, but with how we drafted, it's more going top, and then I'm just playing weak side for the most part, and trying to just clear waves on my own, and then we get a better pick jungle, and then they play the 3v3 bot or 2-2 mid. Because, I mean, as you guys see, I'm like the weak side warrior. I'm just doing my thing in top lane. Just play safe, don't int. And it kind of makes everybody fall to shambles. I'm watching all the top laners get bored. I don't know, I solo killed the Camille as Ornn.
I saw that. That was pretty nice, dude. Not gonna lie. Now I have a question for you. A couple of questions, in fact. Why the name? Why hot dogs as opposed to something like Glizzy Gladiators, for example?
So, that's a good question. I think we originally had a different name, but once we saw Hotdog and the Fury come out, and like the announcement for Hotdog and the Fury,
I see.
we have Shun, who is like one of the best Furies in the world, and we're like, we have to change it to Hotdog. Like, it's just a perfect match made in heaven. Granted, we don't get Fury often in this tournament, but when we do, it's always fun.
On the
Fair.
topic of hot dogs, what are your hot dog toppings?
So, I'm kind of put everything on it. I love food. I'm a big foodie. So I'll be like ketchup, mustard, relish. I'll throw barbecue sauce, sriracha mayo, and just like maybe cheese. You could throw bacon on that. Like when I do, unironically, it's expensive, but Five Guys hot dogs are kind of banger. You can just load it up. My list is like 10 items on one hot dog.
Just make me
Yeah.
one with everything.
Just everything, yeah.
Interesting. I've never had a Five Guys hot dog. I didn't even know they sold hot dogs, but now you make me kind of want to try one, dude. No lie. But another question off the hot dog topic, hot dog toppings, whatever you want to call them, is are you aware of the significance of what you guys just did in beating your previous opponents? That they have such a long track record of winning these things?
I am not. This is
Okay,
my second time in Game Arena, but I've heard that they've played in it a lot, and I've like looked up and seen more in the past too, but I didn't know if they were winning it or what was happening.
Yeah, I feel like they're pretty much like our undisputed champions for like the past couple of ones. So the fact that you guys beat them in the semifinals is quite historical.
All right. Well, last question before we let you go and get you prepped for the finals. How'd you feel about the Malphite pick? Were you a fan? Did you like? I felt like you navigated the lane swap really, really well, especially into like normally you would think Lissandra's not going to be as good of a lane matchup for you just because of your natural affinity towards armor. But how'd you feel about them swapping on you guys and the way that you guys as a team and you specifically as a lane reacted to it?
So with the Malphite pick, I was happy no matter what was happening. Like, granted, I don't have as much games on the champion because I am a support main to begin with. And my top laner is Ornn primarily. I'm the rank 1 Ornn in the world, so it's like I'm off comfort and they're lane swapping into me, but I trust my teammates because we were talking about it in draft and we were planning everything around it because we had flexes everywhere. It was like the Swain flex, Malphite's a flex, and Fury's a flex. Like, I wasn't too worried, and I know how to make top lane pretty much just mitigate loss. Like, I'll be behind, but the enemy laner won't be ahead of my team, if you know what I mean. Like, she can get plates, sure, but all the time that she's wasting top lane instead of helping the team around the map, while Aurelia's kind of just getting beat mid lane, just kind of wins us the game. Like, I just have to do my job and not run it down.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I think that's going to be where we call it on this one to let you, get ready with how you got to get ready, get prepped for the finals. Thank you, Al Calamity, for taking the time. Best of luck to you in these grand finals versus the Jerks. And we're going to cut it to a break, and when we come on back, we'll be in for Game 1 draft.
If I can add one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is just for, and if you know, you know, but 3 is greater than 18, and that's all I'm going to say here.
All right. Well, if you know, you know. Apparently 3 is greater than 18. I guess the math checks out. So As we ponder over that question, we're cutting it to a break, and when we return, everybody will be in for the grand finals, Game 1 of the Game Arena Spring Summoner Series.